Hi, I'm Peachy.
Hello, I'm Patrick.
Hello, I'm Jeff.
And today we are joined by a guest. We all decided we didn't know his name, so we're going to ask him now. We've only known you as Kirov. We've checked with research. It's like at no point do you mention your name. I have an assumption based on your Twitter, but I'm going to go with Bartholomew the Third.
That's actually accurate. That's right. Yeah. I tend to go Bart.
What was your guess?
Charles.
Charles.
I went with Dave.
Dave.
Everyone. I mean, there's always a Dave.
That's why I went with Dave.
It's
quite safe.
Yeah.
Are you allowed to say your name? Is that why it's a secret?
I mean, to be honest, most people just go with Kirioth, even if they know me in real life. Mostly just because of it being the thing that has been on every channel header and video and stuff. It saves a lot of confusion a lot of the time. So I've introduced people using my actual name, and they've still within 30 seconds reverted to using my screen name. So I tend to just leave it like that now for the most part. Yeah, it's just easier.
See, now instantly my brain, it was now like, do you, Kirioth, take this woman?
Well, we now know it's Bart. Bartholomew the Third. That's it, right? So normally on the channel we just go straight into it and just go sidetracked for about an hour and a half. But what our patrons have asked and the audience have asked is if you could give a brief description of who you are and what you do.
Yeah, I mostly just talk total nonsense about miniatures on the internet. That is the basis of the entire channel. That is kind of what it's turned into over the last few years. It's one of those things where I used to play Warhammer a lot when I was younger, and then I took a break from it, and then I sort of came back and started finding it more sort of therapeutic to
definitely
mostly kit bash, not really paint at the time. I've only recently started to actually like painting in any way, shape or form. It's always been about kit bashing, and I'd had a channel that was mostly about like video games and PC gaming and stuff, and I got really bored of gaming, and then I just had that thought of, why am I talking about the thing that I'm not interested in anymore when I'm getting really back into this thing I really, really love? Can I not just talk about that instead? And that just became the whole channel. And somehow it's become an actual like living and everything, which is still very weird.
It's wild.
And I still don't fully understand why, but I'm not complaining either.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you've got a decent following as well. So to move from, because video game is quite big, isn't it? Really?
Yeah. It's also like massively competitive as well. There's just so many channels there.
Yeah.
I remember a point where a friend recommended a channel to me that I'd never heard of before, like a good 7 years ago or so now. And I looked this channel up, having never heard of them, and they had like 5 million subscribers. I was like, how? Yeah. How did I not know about this person? And then I checked their followed channels, and all of them had like 1 or 2 million. Not heard of any of them.
Yeah.
And it's kind of nice being in a smaller space.
Yeah. Imagine you had 5 million followers in this hobby.
It would be
bananas,
insane.
wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I wonder how long it will be until Warhammer's there.
Yeah. Until someone breaks the.
Because you've got who's the biggest? It's like the lore guys, right? Like
Lutin
and Wes Hammer, and they're above 500,000, not 1 million, I think.
I think Lutin's pushing 750 now, or 650, one of the two. But it's like it's so much for
Squidmar's quite high up, isn't he? But not as high as Lutin.
No, he's over 500,000 now. Yeah. But flying the flag for painters.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I mean, I don't know if you find this, like, there's a lot of dog-eat-dog communities out there when it comes to like streaming and stuff, whereas this hobby, it seems like everyone just wants to help each other out and just like promote each other.
It's really nice because it is literally a case of, I've watched your videos, do you want to do something? And the answer 9 times out of 10 is, well, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
It's like just the fact that we all like the same hobby is doing something that doesn't really happen in a lot of other spaces, where it just sort of transcends all of the fact that in reality you're kind of competing with everyone else in the space. Like when it comes to just trying to get views and clicks and, you know, patrons and YouTube members and stuff, you are technically in competition, but no one actually treats it that way. Instead, it's just, well, if we do this thing, then we both get something. So let's do that. Yeah. And all we're going to do is talk about the thing we like. So why would we not take advantage of it and actually interact with other people in the community? It's so nice.
It is. Some of it is because the fact that it's for a lot of people, it's a community-driven hobby anyway, isn't it? You go and play. You have to go and play with another person, or in a room where there's lots of people playing it, or you might go around to your mate's house to paint or whatever. And I think it spills back out into into it as a YouTube thing, I think, a bit, doesn't it? Unlike so, where for a lot of people, video gaming is in your room. Yeah, and the people you interact with are just a voice on the other side of a thing.
Yeah, I think that has got a lot to do with it. Like, if you want to actually play the game, I mean, you can do like Tabletop Simulator, but for a lot of people, the whole the big thing of the hobby is like everything put together. Yeah, you don't just make the models; you paint them yourself, and then you make the list how you want to make it, and then you actually have to go and see someone in real life, and you have to travel and go somewhere, and just all of that. I think just means that there's just a level of investment in there that isn't maybe there when it comes to
the physicality gaming. Of it as well, isn't it? Like actually, like when the table's all set up and you're moving things, and like you say, Tabletop Simulator, great during lockdown for sure, but it's not the cure.
Yeah, I'm not good at Warhammer. I talk about it a lot. I'm not good at it, but
you're in very good company here.
It's the fact that you're kind of using your own stuff is the biggest draw to me. So I've tried using Tabletop Simulator, and I get like partway through it and go, oh, it's missing almost everything I like about playing the game. This isn't working for me. It's too like hands off, and there isn't stuff there that I've made.
No head swaps.
No head swaps, no like weird creations, and the person I'm playing also, like, I'm not seeing their like what they're passionate about in terms of their painting or their army.
Well, when you turn up with an army and you've kit bashed it and you've painted it and you've given it a theme, and and Peachy talked about this only the other day about creating a lore and how it affects everything. You're bearing a little bit of your soul to this other person, aren't you? You're bearing some of your psyche of going, this is what I've done, and and the dream is that someone goes, oh, that looks really good. Oh, I like the way you've changed that for that. And you go, you've done a swap the gun hand on a sword rather, and someone goes, oh, is that from a such and such kit? But it's bringing a little bit of you to the table, isn't 100%. It? And with video gaming, unless if we're talking about it off air, unless it's Minecraft or something like that, you're just playing something somebody else created. Yeah, and your ability to change the camouflage pattern or whatever it might be, it's still minuscule compared to wargaming, isn't it? I think.
Yeah, really. there's so much less you can like put of yourself into it. Mm-hmm. I think the closest and nicest thing that we got was Dawn of War 1.
Yes,
in fact, Dawn of War 2 as well, where you could like customize the color schemes for each army.
I love that. Yeah.
I love that they put that in. Yeah. That was like that made those games feel more like Warhammer to me. Yeah. Even though the gameplay wasn't really
as well, couldn't you?
You could customize so much of it, and it was like it's not quite the same as doing like painting, proper kit bashing or anything, but it's still like a core element of the hobby that they put in, and the gameplay didn't really feel like 40k because it's nothing like it with it being an RTS and everything, but just that little bit made me like the game just that little bit more. Just kind of added up.
It was good for like picking colours as well. Sometimes you're like unsure. You're like, does that work on a Space Marine? No. I have no idea. Why did I think that would work?
I genuinely used it to work out a Space Marine colour scheme, like when I did an army for Space Marines, just because I found this out recently that what I do when I'm trying to visualize things is not visualize things at all, which I didn't realize was not the norm. Then when someone says picture in your mind's eye or picture this, I assumed that for everybody that was a figure of speech because no one could actually see images in their head because it had never come up before. I'd never thought to go, can you actually do that? And then not that long ago, it was pointed out to me that no, most people can do that. I'm the one that's different in that I just can't. I don't have any. It's called aphantasia, where you just don't have like a mind's eye. So when it comes to like planning color schemes and stuff, I can't look at the model and go, okay, well that'll look like that if I put that there and do that, because there's nothing. There's nothing going on in more ways than one. There's nothing going on in there. So having things like Dawn of War 2, being able to like just do a quick colour scheme in there, massively helpful because it's I know what this looks like now.
That's fascinating because I'm so used to that, like being able to like in my head work out like colour schemes and stuff like that. Do you dream? Do you like get like what I call the bedtime movies? Do you get bedtime movies?
I love that.
Extremely complex dreams. I think bedtime movies. I know this is going to sound weird. I know that I've dreamt stuff, but I can never remember dreams. But I don't know if that's because I'm trying to picture something and I can't, or whether it's because I just don't remember the dream. I actually don't know which way round it is. And it's only like, with it only recently being a thing where I've kind of looked into it and discovered that it's not normal. I've kind of now tried to, I wake up in the morning, I'm like, did I dream? I think I dreamt. Okay, can I remember it? No. Why can't I remember it? And then that just starts a spiral of like weird existential dread where it's like, can I see things in my dreams but I don't know it? Or can I not see them? Was it just that I don't remember it? If I could remember it, would I be able to see it even though I can't not? And
you know, the biggest tragedy is your dreams are actually like loads of ways of like making like hyperdrives and like space travel, but we'll never be able to do it.
You solved the fuel problem of the planet. You cleaned up the oceans with that thing you invented.
All those things. I mean,
it's just all gone. As soon as you wake up, just all gone.
It's such a sad story. I mean, you know, it's like it's just so close to like, you know, being a utopia, and you just got to remember.
I know. If we'd have been able to track them, we'd be mining on Saturn by now.
I mean,
such a shame.
As far as mine go, I mean, I've had dreams where I've done like a whole day's worth of work in retail, woke up and gone, oh, got a whole day's worth of work to do in retail today. But I did change my, because we used to do Saturday morning training in Games Workshop Derby. Well, every retail store did. And I'd written one, because all the guys had been there for so long, they knew how to run intros and knew how to do this. And I'd done like a bog standard intro thing, because it was just ticking the box, and we were all like, yeah, let's just go in and do it and drink tea and have a laugh and draw pictures on the whiteboards of willies and stuff like that. And I had a dream, and I was like, that's a really cool way of doing like an intro game. Oh, I'm going to rewrite that, because I'd like literally done this training in the dream and then done like a 4 days worth of work. And it was that morning I just rewrote my training. It was great. We had so much fun.
That's incredible.
And we didn't draw willies on the dry whiteboard. It was great.
Oh,
we actually concentrated and did our job.
That's to draw extra ones the following week.
We had to make up for it.
Got to keep it with like the weekly quota. Make sure you're always on top of it.
Talking about that my friend of mine, Gavin, who I used to do a movie podcast with, he used to work with a guy that, and Gavin would always have like a notebook on the go and what, and he used to work with a guy who used to steal his notebook and would go about 48 pages in and then draw a human penis, but massively detailed, like art school level, and then would just give him his notebook back, and eventually he said he would go, and eventually he gets that page where you turn over in the middle of a meeting and go, right, and so he's like, and I go,
can I just tell you who else does that? My wife does that. I've got those, you know, those Age of Sigma notebooks, and like, you get 40k ones. I've got one, I write my colour schemes in there, I go flip over, big pencil penis. She does it in pencil so I can rub it out. The old like, concept of rubbing off.
Rub, I was just going to say, rub what? Sorry?
But she used to as well, like, because I sometimes have a pack up for work, she'd draw like a dick tip on a banana and like pubes on the base of it, so I'd like open my paddling shit in the canteen at work, flip it out, I just got this like
thanks love.
She's such a trickster. Yes, darling, we're talking about you.
Oh, dearie me. I was just going to say, I was like, as we were talking about Dawn of War, I was like, there's an app, and it's called ImpCat. I was just Googling it, where you do all of the colour schemes, and
they've started to do with it was just Space Marines for the longest time. They've started to do.
Oh, they do all sorts now.
Yeah, they do all things now. Yeah,
but that seems quite fun. If you do struggle, there we go.
Cool. So recently, I was watching. I've been watching a whole bunch of your videos. They're really good to just sit back and paint to.
That's mostly the aim at this point. If I can just have someone sit down and have just background noise.
Yeah.
That's. I don't know. It seems like a weird thing to aim for, but it's just I used to really struggle to get into the kind of space of painting and doing stuff that wasn't just kit bashing. So I was like, well, if me talking about something gets someone to go, actually, you know what, I am going to paint that now. Yeah. Then I consider that to be like, okay, that's job done for that video. That's fine. Yeah. That's done it. Someone's got just a little bit of like enthusiasm to do something with the hobby. Therefore, I'm happy. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I'm looking at the camera, I'm looking at you at home now. If you don't follow Kirov, it's worth following, because you review like the new releases as well. Like I've been watching the Citizen Sigma stuff because I'm super excited about the Citizen Sigma.
Yeah.
Will I ever do a full army? I'm not sure, because I spent a long time doing a full army. I played like 2 games of it. But Warcry definitely, like, you know, you're looking at all the different sets and just seeing them as a reaction to it as well. Which because it's just like the design aesthetic is really nice, and I'm there just painting like a load of Republic commandos for Star Wars and going, stop and just watch Kirov just wax lyrical about these awesome things, but they are really, really nice, and like, you know, just looking at all the different things. And one of the things, I don't know if someone mentioned in the comments, there's that weird sort of Pope lady who's being carried by the henchmen.
Yeah, I love that.
And it's like I think it's Kult Unbergen or Unbergen, which is like the old name for Sigma's tribe.
Yeah.
I don't know if someone ended up mentioning in the comments, but I was just like, so they're bringing some of the old terminologies in as well. That's quite good. But yeah, just seeing the design aesthetic going through the entire range, it's just so nice. So yeah, good to listen to, worth listening to.
Such a good range. I'm like massively excited for like the Fusiliers, the things I'm most excited about.
Yeah.
But having since been told that you've got to like actually field infantry. You got to have steel helms. You can't just have Fusiliers. That's a bit of a shame.
So like normal rank and file sort of like.
Apparently, you're not allowed to just make a wall of guns and nothing else. Which I was like,
I think you'll find you can because it's your hobby.
Yeah,
it's your hobby.
When
Bartholomew.
when someone mentioned me that, I was like, well, at one point I had a dreadnought army before you were allowed to take only dreadnoughts. So I don't really care about that because that's the army I'll make.
Yeah.
And I will most likely only be playing people who'll look at it and go, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. Most of the people I play against tend to allow some level of nonsense just because they expected it.
Just imagine
you've just wore them down.
Yeah, pretty much. It's just, look, I spend so much time on this thing that is functionally terrible, but I really enjoyed it. Can I use it? And it's like, yeah, okay. Are you going to win? Definitely not. Oh, 100%. Go for it.
But if you do, it's through luck and just...
I very rarely win. It's mostly just kind of, I see something I like, and then I go, okay, how do I make 7 or 8 or 20 versions of this? And is there anything else in there that I can make it fit with? Yes, okay, that's the army. And then someone will look at it and go, that's terrible. There's no synergy. That doesn't work with that. Why have you done that? Also, if someone charges you, you realise you've immediately lost. I'm like, yeah, but look how cool that is.
Yeah.
Look at it, like set up. It's great.
Yeah.
And that's the entire...
We need to play games together because we both win.
just cancel out.
I think that's what will happen. Because I remember doing like live and we had Rob on and he was like laughing his head off about it because we had like this 5-part campaign on live and it was like really early days of like doing battle reports. And I was with Rob Crouchley, who was like playing against me. Pink Rob is known on the internet.
Yes.
And he had an undead force called the Red Tide, and I had like my Cities of Sigma, early days Sigma. I was there first. All right, I was there first. So I built all this faction. None of it worked together. It just looked cool. And then I finished the game, and I went off to the store, and I came back, and I was like, Rob, I bought a steam tank. He was like, oh, cool. Do you know what it does? I was like, no, I'm going to build it and find out. I was like, oh, this guy's an idiot. That's the best way, right?
That's the way to do it. You just pick the things that you like the look of and that you get enthusiastic about, and then you'll enjoy putting it together, you'll enjoy painting it, and those two bits just mean that when you do field it and it dies immediately, it doesn't matter because you've still had like half the fun is in getting it to the table, and then the rest of it is just seeing what happens.
Yeah, so much nicer than the meta, isn't it?
Yeah.
I just can't. It's a mix between I can't keep up, and I also just don't care about winning enough to bother with it. It's like I could try and make every army be perfect and brilliant, or I could ignore all of that and go, I would love to make something out of that kit and use it. I'll just do that instead.
It's like, well, I was talking to someone during 9th and they said, oh, well, you know, I put me Land Raider out. And I said, you fielding them? Because apparently they're not great. He went, they're not great, but they're the most Space Marine thing ever. Why wouldn't you have one? And I thought that's exactly the right answer, isn't it?
Yeah, I 100% agree. Land Raider is one of my favourite vehicles the Games Workshop have ever made. So it's like any opportunity to chuck one down. Surely, I mean, they're iconic at this stage. Even if they're terrible, I'd still want to field one.
I'm so glad they're now not terrible, which does help.
Yeah, my meta is to try and fight the biggest thing with the smallest thing possible and kill it. That's how I'm doing. And it's great when you see the reaction, like, oh, because I once killed Abaddon with an Imperial Guard officer in close combat.
I mean, that's the stuff of legend, isn't it? Like that's what you want.
Amazing.
Yeah. I mean, you know, when that happens, you're like,
and that's it. Playing Warhammer for how long?
Oh God, 30 plus years.
Yeah, and then is that the best? Thing?
No. Maybe not. No, that's not the best. There's been others. I suppose taking dragons down with like peasants.
Yeah,
throwing bread at a dragon.
What?
Oh, yeah, so I was on live. Scarbrand, big, angry, bloodthirster.
Yeah.
I had a load of, at the time they're called Free Guild Guard, and you had like the standard Empire builds, which was halberdiers, swordsmen, and then you have something called peasants or militia, which are just like people with like little sticks and like I'd say like parchment rolls and bottles and bread, and I had like about 20 of them, and they took on Scarbrand and killed him by throwing stale bread at him. he was so angry.
I love that.
I remember gunning down a load of Terminators with Justin Pitt with Cadians, and the person who was playing flounced off, and he went, I think of leaning into the law sometimes better, but he went, that just wouldn't happen. And I went, every now and again a las-gun's going to go through an eye lens.
Yeah.
Every now and again. You know, really, he was furious.
I would have been like, but it just did.
Yeah. The dice do not lie, sir.
That doesn't happen. I mean, clearly, it did. You are wrong.
Yeah.
So on one of your recent chats, you said you've never seen in the flesh an Arvis lighter.
Yes.
So I have an Arvis. The paint job ain't great. I did this years ago.
This is
loose. Oh, his wing's gone. Oh, it's there. It's fine. This is the time when I didn't glue the wings in, and then someone kindly...
Immediate panic.
I was like, oh, no.
Is this the Forge World thing that's been re-released?
It's going back.
Comes in there. There we go. Oh, it is glued. It is broken off. Yeah.
I'm going to buy one of them because I've got that big Landon.
Circles.
Yeah.
They've got that big Landon pad. I own that.
Oh,
so I'm going to buy one of them when it comes back around.
It's way lighter than I thought it would be.
Arvis lighter.
That's. I mean, yeah, it's in the name, isn't it? That's my.
I did a trick, and it kind of worked. Someone said like painting like the clam pack plastic you get nail varnish gives it a nice tone, and I tried that with like my wife's. It was a long time ago, darling. You probably won't know.
If you wonder where that bottle went.
And I tried it on the plastic. It worked quite well, but yeah, it's a fun. I used to use it as like a chimera because it never had rules at the time. But I think it has taken some damage over the years, and it was really quickly painted because my army was based off the baddies from V, the 80s mini series.
Oh right, yeah.
This was one of the little drop ships that all the troops come in because it looked a similar shape.
Yeah,
and then I just had this weird sort of like I don't know bird wing thing.
So what does that? Pardon my ignorance. What does that vehicle function as? Is it like a guard, a space marine thing?
It's I think guard.
Yeah.
It's just
a cargo ship.
Yeah.
Just to transport, no guns.
Yeah, I
just
put
flies
guns
in
on it
and then drops people off and hopefully doesn't die.
It's like the guard version of Deep Strike.
Yeah, it is like
it was
the most pointless vehicle because it had no guns, but it was I've always liked the shape of it and the design aesthetic. But it is like just like a little flying box, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
It's guard Uber.
Yes. I thought it was because when I watched the Sunday preview this morning, and whoever made the video, I thought that was going to be like a Legion Imperialis thing because it was like minuscule on the screen. So when you pulled that out of the box, I was like, oh right.
There's some thoughts whether it's going to be plastic or resin. I don't know. I mean, I'd like to think they'd plastify it, but
it would be nice. It would be a weird choice to. Mind you, I mean, they also said, I think they said in the article retooled as well, so I don't know whether that means it is going to be resin.
Yeah.
But they've put so much stuff into plastic, it just kind of feels
have
weird.
You seen the latest rumour is now that the Krieg might be going plastic on a bigger level, mainly only because apparently the casts have all worn out now.
Okay.
So we might end up with plastic Krieg by default, really, because they want to keep them going, but.
Because you've got all the artillery pieces, you've got the cavalry and stuff. Yeah, that'd be really nice.
Given how popular they are, it'd be a really good idea.
Well, I think now because people know they can buy the rank and file for not anywhere near as much as the rank and file cost went through Forge Worlds. I think it'd be. Yeah. I think it gives people enough of a stepping stone to.
And those sets are really clever as well because you can certainly with the Krieg and the Sister of Battle and Novitiates, you can build them all with just guns. Then you have all the specialists after if you want to do those builds. But yeah, it's really nice that you can just like give them all las rifles with a bayonet, or mostly with a bayonet, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's really good. But yeah, that is the Arvis lighter. It's
just as cute in person.
I need to fix that wing. I'll try and get a shot of it. It was a terrible paint job. I think that was the days where I sprayed everything black and then painted white after, and I was like, oh, this is horrid. Why did I do this? Because I was an idiot. That's why, and I didn't know about painting very well.
Oh dearie me.
So kit bashing is a big thing for you.
It's like...
Which is a big thing for me. I'm glad you're here. Let's talk kit bashing.
It's like 75% of what I enjoy doing. It's just... I don't know what it is. Everything needs to be a bit different. And I'm not really sure where that started necessarily, but I just like the idea of having something that is fully mine. That even if I've got a similar build or a similar colour scheme, it's like, well, that that one's mine because it has these changes to the standard kit, or it has like these extras that it doesn't normally come with. And it kind of started out like that, where it was just, I've got an idea for an army, I've got a theme, and I want to make sure that everything fits that theme, even just the rank and file. It's all got to be like cohesive with this idea. But then it just sort of escalated and got a bit weird and silly, and it got to the point where I kind of had a bit of an idea when I started playing AOS. I did my first proper game of Age of Sigmar was at Facehammer, the tournament that Byron and Russ run, and I've been talking to Byron about going to this tournament because I've never been to a tournament before, and I'd not played AOS before, outside of one game when it was the first edition.
Oh wow! Okay,
and of course, by that point, like, that was not the same game. No, it was not the same game, even slightly. Yeah. And I really like the idea of the Soulblight Gravelords.
Yeah.
And I love the idea of having an army of big monsters, because one of the like sub factions in there is the Avangori dynasty. That's just, you can take monsters as battle line. And I was like, well, can I just take 4 massive monsters with a monster leading them? And they went, you can, but that's a terrible idea. Take 3 monsters with a monster leading them, and maybe have actual like line troops for screening and stuff, so things don't die immediately. Yeah. And I was like, I guess I can do that. But that army was, I've been talking to Byron about it and trying to come up with a cool theme for it. And he mentioned these like little mushrooms and ferns that he had. And he said, could you do something with that? It's like, oh, I could do a Soulblight army where there are mushrooms growing out of them. And it's like a hallucinatory thing. Like the kind of stereotypical thing when someone talks about like mushrooms is, you know, you eat them, you see things, basically. So I thought, what if there was an army where it was really weird and twisted and it looked like a mass hallucination, but the actual like models had like mushrooms and ferns growing out of them that kind of cast a sort of blue glow across stuff. And he went, yeah, no, do that. That's fine. So I started doing that, and it set me off on a really mad path, because I did...
what's the name?
Lorca-Vi, yeah. Which I liked what other people had done with her, where... I mean, I like the original model. A lot of people seem to have a problem with it, because she's got like a lower body, and then where the neck would be, you've then got her torso, and then another set of arms, and it is a weird kind of concept model. And a lot of people had changed her by putting like a wolf's head on the body and then having her stand next to it and stuff. And I thought about doing that, and I thought, well, if it's supposed to be really, really over the top, kind of creepy, weird, nightmarish, what if she just had no lower body?
Yeah.
Instead, there's just this like vortex of blood and tendrils and like viscera, and she kind of needs to be properly flying, but I don't think just putting the wings off her would be as fun as if she had too many wings. So that like ended up using wings off a Fellbat to increase the size of the wings that she had. Gave her a cloak, because every cool character needs a cloak.
Yes.
It just sort of, she ended up like that. And whenever I do stuff like this, my main goal is, two main goals. The first thing is just be happy with it.
Yeah.
The second one is, if someone looks at it and goes, what the hell is that? Then that's job done.
Yeah.
That's a win.
That's exactly what I want out of that sort of monstrosity. I love this
sort of like blue effect as well, like, you know, because you've gone with the mushrooms and stuff, but you introduce
I like doing the glow.
That's a vibrant blue.
Yes, that's a Darla Rowney ink, just airbrushed on.
Sweet.
And I decided with the corpse cart to do something just as weird.
That's cool.
So
Genius, yeah.
I took the corpses out of the... I may have accidentally used parts of the corpse cart in a different kit without realising. I bought it for the Soulblight army, and then when I came to assemble it, I was like, I'm missing parts off this. What have I done with it? And I realised I'd attached them to another model, which is in here somewhere. And so I was like, well, I don't have the wheels anymore. I've used those on something. That's a big problem, because it's a cart, it needs wheels, and I don't have any spare. Like bits of the wood kind of rib cage that it has, I'd used to make like a really grown out spinal column on one of the Cursed City models. And so I was like, what do I do now? Because I don't want to buy another one. That's just stupid. So I took all the bodies from the corpse cart, heated them up on the underside, and then bent them down so that their feet are touching the floor.
That's terrifying.
And then used other zombies like that were pushing it like next to it.
It's like a rat king of zombies.
Yeah, it's just a mass of zombies that are like walking using their hands and feet. And because it's a Balefire Brazier corpse cart, I used a brazier from a terrain piece, I forget which one it was, and just had them holding it instead. And having done that, I was like, okay, but now the guy who sits on the cart doesn't work because he's not sitting on anything. Yeah. So I got Gorslav the Gravekeeper out of the Cursed City box. Gave him an extra head and 2 extra arms.
As you do.
As you do. And now he's like driving them forwards. And he's on his own separate base, so I can just pull him out if I want to play Cursed City. I can pull him out of the main base. And
genius.
And it started like that, where it's like, okay, how weird can I make them whilst them still being like recognisable as something?
Yeah. I love this bluey glow mushroom. It reminds me a little bit like I forget what the mushroom is in Skyrim, but when you go into like the Underdark and stuff like that, there's like a vibrant bluey glow. I've always like, that look really cool on models, and it does.
Yeah,
I like it.
I needed a spot colour because I wanted it to be quite a sort of toned down colour scheme. Something that was quite like just sort of browns and greys and not too. I didn't want it to be too over the top because the models were already getting a bit daft. So I didn't want to like really have something really like bright. So I did a lot of like toned down colours for most of the army, and then used the ink as just a spot colour on the mushrooms, the plants, and any fire.
It really works. It looks really good.
I was super happy with that army, and it didn't do well. With it being the first time I played AOS, I didn't know how to play. So the first game I had, it was a case of, this is my first tournament. Also, I've not played this game before. I'm really sorry. And I got a crash course, like a real quick crash course from Owen Jackson, who's a really, really like high level AOS player. And at the time, Soulblight were quite good, but not the build that I'd taken. Because the faction I was using was the weakest one, and it relied on a mechanic that was nowhere near as good as anyone else's. But the point was that I got to field a bunch of big monsters. So that's why I took it. It was like, I can have a zombie dragon, I can have a Terrorgeist, I can have a vampire lord on zombie dragon, I can have this monstrosity as well. Like, it's got to be this. And did a load of like direwolves with it as well, with mushrooms growing out of eye sockets and like plants growing out of the sculpts for those are really good because they've already got exposed ribs and like wounds in them, which just means if you want to make stuff grow out of them, all of the prep work is already done. You can just have things like growing out of exposed rib cages and stuff.
Really it's like cool. Last of Us vibes. That all the mushrooms coming out of their head that creep the shit out of me.
A lot of this army was like, I would kind of think of like Last of Us when I was doing it. It was like, hey, where would it be really horrible to have something grow out of if you were looking at this? Like the Terrorgeist has got 2 heads instead of 1. I had 1 spare from the kit, so I gave it 2 heads, and one of the heads has just got a massive clump of mushrooms growing out of the eye socket. Which cool. I was like, I did it. I was like, is that a bit much? And then someone saw it and went, that's awful. And I went, yeah, okay. That's what we were looking for.
Yeah. I imagine if I was doing that, I'd be like, I'm going to kit bash this until I faint.
Yeah, you've got like some Dark Souls vibes as well with some of the stuff you've been doing, haven't you?
Oh yeah, I love doing
this guy's so cool.
Radikar the Beast is one of my favourite models they've done.
I forget what they're called now. I think it's Time Bandits, and there's these horrible things with like horse heads, like bone things. I forget what they call it. It just reminds me of that. It's like, this little thing at the bottom as well.
But it does work. You're right. There's very muted tone, but then the blue really kicks it back, doesn't it? It's really good.
Yeah, he's one of my favourites I've done, just full stop, really. Mostly just because that was like quite a lot of work.
Yeah.
And this was quite a lot of work. This was just, I put an axe in one hand and put a horse head on instead. And I was like, do I need to do more? And realised that actually the base model itself was already pretty much perfect for what I wanted. So it wasn't like, that's the other thing as well. I talk about kit bashing a lot, and I love kit bashing. I think sometimes it's easy to think it needs to be complex.
And
it really doesn't.
Yeah, it
absolutely doesn't.
Say sometimes the best kit bashes are just a simple head swap.
Yeah. You can change the attitude of a model like massively just by changing like 1 or 2 parts. Yeah. And when it comes to doing like massed infantry and stuff, that's, I think, the best way to do it. If you find like the one thing that will differentiate it and then do it to all of them, then you end up with a force that looks really unique, but you don't need to have spent, hundreds of hours customizing each one down to the finest detail, because just that one change is enough.
I recently did. Oh, sorry, shoot.
Oh, the idea behind.
Oh yes, the Spike Revenants with the skeletons. Such a cool idea.
So it's
love them.
Literally just a Spike Revenant, but the old Skeleton Warrior kit.
Yeah.
Where I just took the rib cage.
Can I grab it and then hold it?
These are all on his Instagram as well. So I don't know if you want to pull up some pictures.
You're saying about how it can flip, it can make just one thing stand out, but also as well, you can sometimes do it the opposite, where you have a mild kit bash and it just drags it into with. Because I had the Nurgle Demon Prince for Death Guard, and I hated that head, the one where he made him look like Quasimodo, and I hated it. And then I was thinking for ages, I want to change this, and I couldn't figure out what it was. And in the end, I got the one of the ogre heads, and he's just got a chainmail mask where he should over his face, entire chainmail. And I thought, well, there is Death Shroud.
Yeah,
that are wearing exactly the same thing, and it just brought him closer for me instead of doing the opposite, you know.
Yeah,
and I got rid of that awful bloody head, which was terrible.
Got to say, your basing game is top tier as well. I love all this sort of like, bracken and like rotting leaves and like.
It's the laziest. It
works. I like it.
I used to really struggle with basing. I used to just not know what to do. Yeah, and I ended up just buying a tub of basing material and going, well, okay, everyone else does these really like fantastic, well-painted bases. Can I just like make it look like a forest floor? Is that okay? No one's going to mind if it's just a forest floor. Just slather it in PVA and dip it in the thing and then go, I've done my base, now leave me alone.
Yeah, something we used to do, like Dave and Mark James used to have like tubs of mixed herbs.
Yeah.
And when they do like trees and like hedgerows, they always used to put some PVA glue and just scatter it, and it just looked like all the crap you get at the bottom of hedgerows and stuff. And then I started like adding sand into it and like bits of like just random crap, like stones and stuff.
Yeah.
So when you pour it on, it becomes so sort of, well, natural and irregular that it actually looks, and
kind of grounds it a bit as well.
This is really, really nice. I really like it. It's just, there's so much texture going on.
I used to, all the bases used to just be black, or they would have like texture paint, and that was it. And then I'd show up to games and other people would have really nice like thematic bases, and like this battle's taking place on like a Mars-like planet, and there'd be little rocks and like strange plant growths and stuff, and I'd look at mine that had like badly applied Agrellan Earth, and that's it.
Yeah.
But it's like gone over the side, so some of the cracks are like over the edge of the base, and I'd look at it and be like, please don't look at those. Don't just like keep eyes away from the base. Aim for the head of the model and try to ignore everything underneath, because it's not good. And then I just, having got like a few tubs of different scenery, just went, I'm only doing this now. It's so much easier to just.
And effective as well. But
you've got to come from somewhere, right? You've got to like start it and try it, and then you get to the point. Where, I mean, I like seeing like Laura. She's Pegastix on Instagram.
Yes,
her conversions are insane. But I like this thing where when it's early builds and before it's like start painting, they get like the textured paint and like dab that in for that extra texture on the skin and stuff.
Yeah, I started doing that, and I directly nicked it from her. Yeah, because I kept seeing stuff that she put on like Twitter and Instagram, and I was just looking at it and go, that's the best thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, so
why is it so good? And then I'd think to myself, well, I could do something similar, but there's just something about like the joins between the different kits and stuff that works really well. And I worked out after a while that it's like that mix of texture paint and using like crackle paint and stuff just added extra elements to it. So I started doing that, and I remember the first time I used it on a bigger model, I just straight up messaged her and went, I've taken this from you. Thank you. It's too good not to use. I should be do the thing.
Yeah, she's awesome, Laura is. One thing I always want to do, because you remind me of like these extra wings, you get the Crypt Guard, basically the big sort of not zombies, flesh eater corpse.
Yes.
You get the big ghouls, you get like the Vargheists, which are the ones with wings.
Yeah.
But I always wanted to do like a Vargheist, which is using mostly a ghoul body, but then the little teeny tiny wings you can plug on the top, because you get like one where it's like a commander that has like a set of wings with like some extra wings on the top. I just wanted to just do
just the little tiny wings.
As soon as I go, I can't fly, lads. Hold up.
It's like the penguin of the Warhammer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or the ostrich.
When you see when chickens get a right panic on and they jump about 3 foot.
Yeah.
That would be that guy. These are awesome. So you did, I forget his name, Carthelis whatever, the big Stormcast hero. He looks like some kind of badass. He got his Santa helmet.
I went full Dark Souls with that.
So good.
I saw that model and was like, it's just a Dark Souls model.
So
it's just a Dark Souls character, like a boss.
Where's that helmet from? That's not the Greatsword one, is it?
It's not. It's actually a 3D printed one.
I was going to say, because it's too big.
Yes, it's a creator called Saint Decent. She's done like loads of different like head packs and stuff. And awesome. I got that off there, and it just, as soon as I saw that model, I was like, they've just made a Dark Souls boss. Yeah. This is great.
Yeah.
I want to make it like more. Yeah. So I gave him the shield and the helm and just wrap some chain around the hammer. Those are the only differences on it, but that and doing like a more muted armor color scheme.
Yeah.
I really like just dry brushing armor. It doesn't take very long and it always looks good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've tried to do like
as well.
Yeah, I've tried to do like non-metallic metal before, and I can't. I just can't do it. So
I'm really eager to try non-metallic metal. Just see what it's like.
I've said before, it's
that's the way madness lies, if you ask me.
It's very pretty. It's really, like we had Richard Gray on, sat where you're sat now, and he does it very well.
Yes.
I would never do it as well as that, and I can't be bothered.
That's it.
Life's too short.
Yeah. Like I want to experience, like people like I'd like to experience what it's like to try it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so these heads, because I'm currently doing a bunch of Stormcast from a Warcry warband, which are using like old Empire Knight heads.
Yeah.
And the Samet helm from the Greatswords are just too small.
Yeah.
Whereas that will be perfect. Yeah. So I'm going to have to...
It's just the right size. And there's a whole bunch of them as well. I think there's 5 variations of the Samet helm that she's done. So, cool. It's... I just love now that we actually have like accessible 3D printing and stuff. I don't use it nearly as much as I should. But every now and again, there'll be a model where I'm like, this needs one specific piece, and it doesn't exist, or at least it does exist, but it's in a kit that went out of stock or was removed 2 years ago or something. And I could go on eBay and try and find a box, but I'm not buying a box for 70 odd quid for that dude's head. That's ridiculous. And just being able to go to My Mini Factory or like any number of the massive number of patrons out there, just go, they've got exactly what I want, and it costs £1. Yeah. And I can have infinite of them. Yeah. Perfect.
Well, the other thing you might do is just give Pete the Wargamer a phone. He's probably got one in a drawer somewhere.
Yeah, that's true,
I mean, I've got like a bag, just a big sort of like Ziploc bag full of plastic bits from like Empire and Stormcast.
Yeah.
And when I was doing my Sisters of Sigma conversions, I was like looking through, and there's, because I've been using the Sister of Battle novitiates, and there's the leader, the Sister Superior, and I wanted to hold on a Sigmarite hammer.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's a really cool hammer. I got it, built it, and then gave it like some... the Empire Wizards have like a staff that's got a twin tail comet on the back, so I stood on the back of her. She looked very sort of sister matriarchal, so I was like, cool. And then so many people were like, where's that hammer from? I was like, oh, hang on. Where is that hammer from? And it's from the War Altar set, which I still don't understand why, but they took that sprue away so you can do the Luminarch and the Hurricanum.
Right.
So at one point it was bundled together as one big thing.
Okay.
So it was like, because it was an extra sprue to make the War Altar, because it had like the actual eagle on the back, and then some extra like the warrior priest and some extra bits, and then you had like the Luminarch bits, and then the what's the other one? Celestium Hurricanum. So they're all one box, and they ended up split into 2 boxes, which was like the Light Wizards, Celestial Wizards, and then the War Altar.
Yeah.
And then when it went to Age of Sigma, they just removed the War Altar from stock, and it's just like, why? There's so many cool things in there that are Sigmarite for Sigma. It's Age of Sigma. I mean, it's got all Sigma stuff in it. Why are you taking that away? Mad people.
Because.
And that's where that hammer was from. It was from one of the Warrior Priests builds you can get on the set, which was because you could get Volkmar the Grim as well, which just makes a cool Warrior Priest if you wanted to. So I've got loads of bits of that, and I'm just like, oh, do I use them now? Because I get so many like people whinging at me because I'm using things you can't get anymore.
Yeah, it's like wanting to hoard them, isn't it? It's like, you can't get them anymore. I feel like I shouldn't touch them, but at the same time, that would be perfect. Yeah. So
just do it.
Whenever they remove a box that was like really, really good for spares and like just bits, it just makes me sad.
Empire Bowman was that for the sword arms and the open hands. They were so good for that.
That and the old Skeleton Warriors kit.
Oh
that was a great kit. Like even if you didn't want to build Skeleton Warriors, if you wanted like grisly trophies of like skeletons and like rib cages and like skulls and stuff, it was amazing. And then I mean the new kind of version of it do look really good.
Oh yeah.
but they're all armored.
Yeah.
So
there's no naked skeletons.
There's just no like actual like all of these are built out of just skeletons.
Yeah.
And I can't build them using armored torsos because it would just look really weird for a start, and also just doesn't fit because the new ones are slightly bigger. And these are just the right size where if you cut the like rear sort of 3/4 off, they just sit inside the Spike Revenant torso. And so it's like super easy to do, super quick. And then that kit disappeared before I'd been able to like build as many as I wanted. So I've only got one. I've only got enough for one more squad of 5. And I'm like, maybe I could stretch it. Like if I learn how to sculpt, that might help. But it's like, it just, the box vanished and I've got one like on the shelf and I keep looking at it like, I need to make more Revenants. But once I open it, that's it. They're gone. Yeah. It's gone. I keep
we should do an appeal.
I was going to say we should do an appeal now.
If you have an old box of skeletons, please you can make one Kirioth very happy.
I still need, I've got to build this guy. I've got to build him. I was going to get a bold head of me. Yeah. And make me as a Stormcast. But I love the Salet Helm. Speaking of which, there's the Sister Battle Salet Helm as well, which lifts up. There's one which lifts up, so I might do that for like one of the female Stormcast, which looks quite cool. They're slightly smaller than that one, but they fit the scale better than the Great Helm. The females are slighter as well, aren't they? The normal male Stormcast. The male Stormcast. So I've been like because I used the Sister Battle heads a couple of times in some of those conversions we've done. They kind of just ever slightly work. Little bit. Some of the heads are a bit slighter. If you get the bold ones, like the ones with the shortcut hair, they do look tiny. Whereas you get the ones with the big boost on the hair, they kind of fit in quite nicely because I think the hair helps add some bulk. You're right, is it?
Like a wasp just came in, and I was like, no, I'm not having this. And I whacked it, and I managed to flick it directly out the window. And Jeff saw, and it was the coolest thing I've ever done.
You just had to have a fist bump off it. It was that amazing.
I was like, what's going on? Something's going off screen here.
I heard the buzz, but I missed the whack. Yeah. I'm sad I missed it.
Oh, yeah. That's just bosh. And that was like a metre away. I've peaked.
That's it.
Nowhere to go. You'll never get any more manly than that now. That's it.
No. Yes. That's it. Yes.
You punched a wasp out the window.
Yeah. Well, it was like it was. Yeah. I gave it a taste to the back of my hand.
No, he's now telling all the other wasps never to go near that window ever again.
Apologies for that.
No. I was going to ask, what is your favourite conversion? Because you've got quite. I mean, I'm loving this walking monolith menhir thing.
It takes. There's a lot. They're also like magnetized down, and I keep forgetting how many magnets I put on some of them. Some of them are like stupid fragile because I'm silly, and when I build things I don't pay attention to how to transport them.
I can feel that.
I just go, this would be fun, and then I don't think about it any further than that.
Look at that. Look at that. That is terrifying. They were both terrifying. Oh my God, that is terrifying too. I did not see
again, job done.
I did not see this.
These are both Mega Gargants, technically.
Oh, genius.
AOS Mega Gargants. I wanted to do an army of them. I didn't want to. I like the Mega Gargant kit, but it's very repetitive. Like they have the same legs for every single one, and I struggled enough with that when it came to making a Chaos Knights army. I was like, I don't want to just do like actual Mega Gargant kits because the repetitive leg pose really stands out to me, and there are some really nice parts on it, but I wanted to do like a full. Someone described it as like an Attack on Titan list. It's just 4 big ones and that's it. Yeah. And so I was like, there's got to be other things that I can do to break it up. And I just one day was looking at the web store, and I realised that I've never actually bought one of the. It's one of the AOS Nurgle
maggot things, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like something Maggot Lord or Blowout Rockspawn or something it's called. And I've always liked it, but I've never bought it because I wouldn't use it for anything. And I had on like the front page for whatever reason, the terrain special altar thing.
Yeah,
that's, the RCR.
The Bone Reaper.
Yeah,
thing,
it's
like a Nexus thing.
Bone Tithe Nexus.
That's it. Yeah.
It was like, have you seen this? And I was like, yeah, but I've got no use for it. But okay. And then I was looking through for ideas, and I saw the Blob Rotspawn model. I went, what if you took the big column off the Nexus and had it like grow out of his back?
Yeah.
And then I thought, why did I think that? And then decided
they need to lie down.
It was just like I just suddenly thought to myself, that would be a fun thing to try. Like if I could make that work, that would be cool. So I got both the kits, and I sat there like not really with any clear idea as to what I was doing or why I was doing it. It was just one of those things where I just had the idea and thought, I mean, I might as well try it. It'll be fun. If it doesn't work, then I can always use them for other things. It's not like it's a total waste.
Do us a favour, Bart. Could you turn them to...
It's just pure nightmare fuel is what you're getting here. So kids at home, look away. It's this guy that's got two hands reaching out his belly.
Oh God, what's going on in there?
And his blades are so sharp he can cut this thing in half. I'm like, oh my God. And he's got two bum holes made out of mouths with teeth.
That's the only bit I don't like about that one.
I like that.
I did it, and then I was kind of happy with it, and then like months later I went, I should have actually just green stuffed something else over that. I should have done something else.
I like it at the top as well.
I think it's a really good thing that you can't remember your dreams, to be fair.
Probably a reason.
Because if they look like that, I think you've just got a safety defence mechanism going on.
They just don't
follow you around, but they obviously are following you around.
What's all this stuff, by the way? I really like this. It's like Bob Bracken kind of thing.
Oh, it's from... no, I can't remember the name now. Wasn't in Scenics? No, I forget that. I forget the name, but it is literally just a bag of like kind of... It's like wood growth or something. I forget the name of it. I'll dig it out and send it over. But I like using that to kind of add
it's really
bulk
nice
and stuff to the bases, because I didn't bring all four of them. I brought three. One of them is just a Mutolith Vortex Beast with the wings off a Celestial Stardrake.
Cool, yeah.
Which
cool.
I always have to clarify, I did not buy the Celestial Stardrake just for the wings.
Yeah.
Someone had the wings going spare, and I got the wings. Because the first time I put a picture of that on Twitter, someone went, did you seriously buy like a £100 model for the wings? And I was like, no. Absolutely not. I did not do that.
But also you're kit bashing, and I'm sure you used it.
I could have used it, but I didn't have any ideas for it at the time. And a friend was like, I don't need the wings for this. I didn't think to ask what they were doing with the rest of the model. I should have done. But they said, I don't need the wings for this. Do you want them? And I had the Mutolith Vortex Beast on the way and just went, yeah, definitely.
That's cool.
So, yeah, I just, with these, I wanted like a cosmic horror.
Yeah, it's definitely
a cosmic horror army. And again, it was a case of just, I need four totally different things. Admittedly, if it wasn't for the paint job, they wouldn't really stand together, because they're totally different. Every single one of them looks nothing like each other. The only thing they have in common is that they're really weird.
Yeah.
They are still got that real Elden Ring and Dark Souls thing going on. They really do.
Yeah.
Even if they were painted differently, the fact that they're based the same kind of helps tie them together anyway. It's like all of this lot is very sort of, I hate to use the word eclectic as if it's like a negative. It's not. It's very different. Yeah. But it all works quite well together. It's like, I know you've obviously got your mushroomy thing, glows, and these kind of don't have it at the moment. Are they for two different
Yes,
forces?
So those are for the Soul Blight Grave.
Yeah, but they kind of got a similar basing.
Yeah, I try and keep the basing similar depending on the setting. So like most of my AOS stuff is based not quite the same, but pretty much this. Like it's fairly interchangeable.
Which is cool,
and the 40k stuff is based like totally differently.
Yeah.
I use a lot of this stuff for D&D as well, so it's like a mixed thing. Using it for AOS, but also just when I put that down in the middle of a session for D&D, that was a lot of fun, because everyone at the table went, what are we supposed to do with that? We're level 8. And I was like, you've just got to stop it from walking through that city. That's all you got to do. That was the whole challenge.
Hands for a head?
Yeah.
Does your wife ever go, what if I'm married?
Well, I will like take partially finished like models and show her, and she'll just look at me and go, why? It's fun. Like, okay. That still doesn't answer the question, but okay.
He has no eyes.
Yeah, no eyes, no head. And too many hands, even though he doesn't have technically hands on the end of his arms, which was
he's compensating by attaching them elsewhere.
He's trying to get them in wherever he can.
Good lord, they are literal nightmare fuel.
That terrifies me.
It's surprisingly resilient. I've dropped it twice, so it's
oh really cool.
It's
love this. Breaking away,
trying to.
Good God, it's all just nightmare fuel, all of it, isn't it?
It's amazing.
Well, sleep well tonight, lads.
That was literally just. Have you ever read the descriptions of biblical angels?
No.
Yeah.
In like popular culture, an angel is just
wild.
Yeah, it's just like a bloke or a woman with wings with a halo, and that's it.
Yeah.
When you actually read descriptions of biblical angels, it's like there's 9 concentric circles that are covered in eyes, or it's like got 18 faces that are all on different sides and stuff. So for that, I kind of wanted to do an AOS version of like a sort of accurate angel. But the backstory for all of these is, funnily enough, based entirely in like dreams. So there is a powerful sorcerer who doesn't know she's a sorcerer, who when she goes to sleep, she has really vivid, extremely like terrifying, visceral dreams. And what she dreams of makes its way into reality and makes towards the nearest town or the nearest army and starts eating, stomping, or just driving people insane. And then she wakes up in the morning, and after about 30 seconds, she can't remember any of it. So she has no idea. I don't know. It might actually be based on.
We're back to where we started, aren't we?
Yeah, right back to where we started. But for this guy, I thought it would be fun to have like there being awareness of her. So a Stormcast is sent to basically watch over her, and if she goes to sleep and starts to dream, he is supposed to take her out. Except he is in her presence when she does it. So instead of taking her out, he just gets transformed into this horrific monstrosity, and she kind of sees him as something of like a guardian angel in some ways. Yeah. So a big, massive like orb kind of bursts out of his neck, and he gets all twisted, and all the wings come out. And yeah,
I love that it's dislodging the scenery on the bottom. It's really, really impressive.
It's a last minute addition, that, because I felt like
throwing everything out of.
Yeah, I have to re-glue it occasionally because I transport it and bits just fall off the base. Cool. But it's also worth pointing out, none of these are the right height. So these are all bigger than a Mega Gargant. Because when I started building the army, I was like, I need to look up how tall they are. I never did.
Yeah.
And then partway through building this one, I was like, I don't know if this is tall enough. I'm not actually sure if it's tall enough. I should, you know what, I'm going to buy one and I can use that for one of them. Like I could make it like nightmarish. That'd be fine. Yeah. Never got round to buying one. Took them to Facehammer last year and got them out. And someone else there was playing a Sons of Behemat army, and I put this next to an actual Mega Gargant, and it is as tall as the Mega Gargant without the base.
Yeah.
So I was putting them on the table, and at first I was a bit confused why they were getting looks of like, oh my god, those are massive. Because I was like, it's just Mega Gargant sized, isn't it? And then I saw one.
Yeah.
And then I put them next to it and I was like, oh, okay, no.
As long as the base is right, it doesn't matter, does it?
Well, that's the thing. They're all on the right size base. And like, line of sight isn't a thing, so it doesn't really matter.
And that is one heck of a tactical rock as well. I do love that.
Yeah. That was the main one that I felt silly with, because I was like, okay, I've got to build it up, because otherwise it's going to be too small.
Yeah.
I put it next to it, and one of them, like a Mega Gargant, came up to like there or something. It's like, oh, okay, right.
Look me in the eyes, but you don't have any.
I actually can't remember the last time I looked at a miniature where I didn't know where to start when I was looking at it.
Yeah.
Because normally they drag you in and you go, well, that's your central focus, but it's all a central focus. And
something I complain about a lot when Games Workshop puts out new stuff is if a miniature's too busy, and I'm massively hypocritical. I point that out when I say it, and it's like, it's just a bit too busy for me, and I'm like, I realise right behind me, clearly I have the same problem. I'm choosing to have that problem. It's not being delivered to me with that problem.
Yes. So you're self-aware.
You got to be at least mildly self-aware to get away with it. So
they are absolutely stunning.
The thing I always find as well is when, I don't know if you appreciate this, when you kit bash him, when you get the comments saying that people can't identify what the kits are. You always that's kind of like, oh, I've done good.
Yes.
You're like, is that a kit you can buy? You're like, oh, I've done good.
Yeah.
That's always good, because at first glance I was like, I know that's the Cygor, but the rest I'm just like, I'm struggling. And then same with that, other than the pillars and stuff, it took me a while to realise it was the Maggotkin thing.
Yeah. He's upside down. So the Maggotkin is upside down. I didn't use the front legs. He's just got 2 sets of back legs.
Oh my gosh.
Because it was too raised up.
Yeah.
Because the front ones are a lot taller.
Yeah, that's true.
How much sort of like green stuff is in, say, like the one in the middle?
Quite a lot. I tend to use, because a lot of it is like skin and flesh, I use liquid green stuff, which as far as I can tell, I'm the only person that's keeping that particular product in like being produced, because everyone I talk to hates it and thinks it's rubbish. But for making rough skin texture, it works really well, because once I glued the sections in, I just went from the body of the actual like Nurgle model and then spread liquid green stuff up onto the stonework.
Yeah.
And if you keep doing it in multiple layers, you get that kind of stretched growing skin, but then it fades out into nothing, so it just looks like it's blended with it. So there's a lot of it going on around the pillars, at the base of the pillars.
Glazing with liquid green stuff.
Pretty much, yeah.
Cool.
And there's like texture paint in there as well, just to ease the transition and stuff. And there's quite a bit going on with where the knife legs go in.
Knife legs.
Of all of them, that's the one that was like most directly inspired by something, really, because there is. Have you watched the Hellboy reboot, like the newer Hellboy?
Yeah,
I haven't. No.
It's not great, but it does have 1 minute of like the best kind of horror-y stuff from like that sort of film. There's like I think it's 1 minute, 1:30 scene of demons invading London.
Yeah,
and
that's right.
there is a demon with massive knives for legs, and as he's walking, you see him impale someone.
Oh no!
And there's already a guy who's been impaled. He gets pushed further up the leg, and he's like screaming. And I saw that, and as I was building this one, I was like, I still have the swords from the Bone Tithe Nexus statue.
Oh, of course. Yes,
so
that's what
if I took those and put them on the base of the Cygor, that would give it the height it needs. And it's a little cheeky reference to the one good scene in that film. So that's one of those ones where someone, every now and again, someone will go, is that based off that one scene in that film? I'm like, yes. No one saw it, so hardly anyone knows that that's the case. And that's the point out. But yes, that's
I just like the idea that, you know, when they go to the sculptors, we need one of these, can you go off and design it? And then if imagine if they come back with one of these and the boss at Games Workshop sculpting department going, do you need to see someone? Should we phone the occupational nurse?
I think those conversations do happen. Some of the stuff I've seen in the past. I don't know why, but Forge World were obsessed about buttholes. There's so many animals and creatures in the Forge World range that have all got sphincters. I'm just like, someone really has a fixation.
Anatomically correct.
So I remember painting the War Mammoth for like an event years ago, and I was just like dry brushing it. I was just like, oh my god, he's got a ring piece. Don't really want to be dry brushing that, but I've got to make it look real. Really got in there. Best time of my life.
They are really. I can't stop looking at them, and I think you'd win by default, because I think if I was playing against you, my entire game plan would go out the window looking at them. I'd be like, oh, I don't know what to do.
Yeah, she'd be like, I'm terrified. I forfeit. Well done.
Yeah. That's it. So the actual models will start to like lose morale. The dice will be affected by them. Like, oh god.
But I don't remember that. Why are they there? I put them much further. Why did we seem to become making their way to the back of the board?
So what got you into kit bashing then? What was it that drew you? Was that just it came by accident, or
it was literally, I can remember when I started playing 40k in 3rd edition, where I started an Iron Warriors army, and for whatever reason I had a spare chainsword and I wanted the squad leader to have a slightly longer chainsword, and there wasn't a slightly longer chainsword, and I was like, well, I could just cut 2 of them in half and glue them together, and then he would have a longer chainsaw. I was not good at it, so when I did it, it was literally like off center, like slightly tilted to one side. The chainsaw was like that because I hadn't glued it properly or sanded it.
It's chaosy, isn't it?
It was just I did that, and I was like, oh, that makes him look a bit different. That's cool. What can I do to that guy to make him look different? And it just sort of snowballed from there. And I don't actually still have that Iron Warriors army, which I'm a bit sad about. I sold it like when I was a teenager, but I was like, there's little bits that I kept, and even things like the old metal Terminators, I still managed to try and do things to those that do not look good now, and I'm pretty sure it's classed as sacrilege. Some of the parts that are like attacked and like chipped up and stuff, because you know, things like that are kind of a bit sought after for nostalgia.
Well, at the time they were like
at the time it was like but I did find them in the loft like a few months ago, and I looked at the squad leader and went, oh no, I can't show anyone that. That's it's like big old scuff marks. I tried to make it look like he'd been really battered about in combat, but I was a kid and didn't really know what I was doing. So I just like mangled the model really badly.
But kit bashing metal's blooming hard work anyway.
I don't like it.
Start and plug hacksaws out and God knows what. And
I did it once with I wanted Morathi, the Morathi body, the metal Morathi. So it attaches to a Dark Pegasus, but her knees downwards are attached on the flank of the Pegasus. But I wanted her riding a dragon. So I ended up getting some other legs and then putting them on her, and then using like some green stuff to make them into boots. So you get like your fold down bit on a boot.
Yeah.
It was like that. So I did that. I was quite pleased with it. It was a bit of green stuff and she had like the Slaanesh, because I was doing a Slaaneshi lord on dragon. So obviously scantily clad, because Morathi model was like pretty much nude. And I was like, that's Slaaneshi, I'm going to do that. So I did this. It was the metal sort of Grecian Chaos Lord helmet riding the weird booby snake thing.
I remember that one.
The booby snake.
Great helmet though.
I'd ordered, because at the time you could order bits. I ordered about 50 of those, and I did like chosen Chaos Warriors with those helmets, and she had it. There was a Larmian who had like a staff sticking out. I turned that into I called it a power rapier. Painted it blue, and then made it basically look like a female Darth Vader.
Cool.
I've still got some. It was a Inquisitor for my Imperial Guard, my evil Imperial Guard from the Arvis Lighter. Sort of ate his baddies in what did I call them? Communazis in space. So I kit bashed this model, and I was really pleased with it. But it just nowadays, I have to look back at it, it's god awful.
Trying to kit bash the Metal Demon Prince.
Was
I really messed that model up because metal was hard enough. That model particularly, it fell apart no matter what I did. I just could not get it to stay together, and because I didn't know what I was doing at the time, the idea of someone's really not happy.
Still going?
Yeah.
You're really giving it a go.
Because I didn't know what I was doing, the idea of pinning something. I don't know what that is. And given that this was well before we had it's so being able to just say to someone now when they're starting the hobby, okay, you want to learn how to paint, here are 100 amazing channels who will tell you everything you need to know, or you want to know how to kit bash stuff, okay, well, here's a bunch of people that you can go to with step-by-step detailed processes in easily watched video form. Compare that to when I started in 3rd edition, it's like, how do I do this? If no one at the local Warhammer club doesn't know, that means that no one knows how to do it. There's just no passing on of information. It was just like, I don't know.
I remember.
I guess we will just all not know together. That's it.
I can't remember what publication it was. It was a Warhammer book of some kind. I don't know if it was like one of the rule books or something like that. But it had a boar, and it was showing how to dry brush. No, it was like a boar showing how to dry brush the boar. There was like some chainmail showing how to dry brush the chainmail, and then there was like a cloak, and it was like painting the cloak up, and it was like at the end, glaze it. Oh, sorry, can you tell what glazing is and how that works? No, just glaze it. So at that point, I had no idea what glazing was, and I just understood it to be a magic paint, and at that time you could buy glaze paints. And there was a bunch of colours. I think there was more than what they did with the reboot, but I think it was a green, because I was trying to copy the green cloak, and I painted everything, and I used it straight from the pot, went over, it looked nothing like the picture. And I was like, what am I doing wrong? But because it was like 1, 2, 3 heavy metal, it's like it's the first 3 steps, and after that you need to have like 20 years talent, and then you get to that point, it's like, thanks, you missed a few steps.
I love them on the back of the boxes. The fact that they still persist with it on the back of the box. Don't they? This followed by this, followed by this, and it looked just like that.
What is it, like drawing an owl?
It's
like draw some circles, add a little bit of detail, and then there's just an amazing
with a background.
Or just like classic Forge World instructions, which is still some of my absolute favourites, which they've only recently started to get better, to be honest. One of my favourite thing that I've ever got from Forge World was the Typhon Heavy Siege Tank, where it was like a few pages of instructions. The first few pages were how to attach the tracks to the side, like the hull. When I got it out of the bag, the tracks were moulded onto it. So the first 3 pages were totally irrelevant, because it was just like, okay, here's how to put the tracks on. And I took the piece out and went, it's already got them on. Okay, I guess I can ignore that. I turned the page.
There thinking, wow, I got lucky.
Well, I was like, okay, well that makes it easier. I turned the page over, and it was like, okay, attach the bottom of it, and that was that page. And then the next page was a picture of the tank, and I was just like, where's the rest? Where's the rest of the instructions? Like half of this doesn't apply to what I have, and you're missing all of the bits to take it from the first step to it being a finished model. What's happened? And I kind of spoke to a few people and like, no, that's what I got too.
Yeah. I wish I kept it.
Why? It's wild.
I wish I kept the Valkyrie instructions because they were A4 piece of paper folded, and there was a picture of a finished Valkyrie at the front. Then you open it up, and it was like one half of the interior that was painted, but it was black and white potato cam. So it was super blurry. And then there was like a picture of like the tail, and I'm just like, cool, I just got a bag of bits. I have no idea how this works.
So when they do that bit where they have to follow the instructions on Bake Off.
Yeah.
Or they just have to sort of start reading it and
yes,
start it's a bit like that with Forge World.
And you get to it and it's like redacted.
But they've come on a long way since then.
Definitely.
It was still like building my first Forge World kit was an experience. Yeah. And because even just looking at the instructions, it was sort of like all of the bits roughly in the shape of this like Custodes Dreadnought, that it's like, oh well, it's like one of those kids books where you open it and it's like, this is the inside of the Millennium Falcon, and it's all like spread out, and then you're just like, oh fuck, like trying to get it all back together.
Nice.
I had something I wanted to ask you. So my introduction to you wasn't actually through your YouTube channel. It was your guest appearances on Adeptus Ridiculous.
Yes.
And I wanted to ask how that job of sort of like the vehicle specialist came about.
That was literally a case of Bricky was ill and couldn't do an episode, and Shy, who produces it, like watches the channel and had watched it for ages, and just reached out and went, need a guest host, would you like to come and do something? And I said, yeah, that would be great, I'd love to. And she went, what do you want to do topic wise? Like, is there something that you are pretty confident you could just like do in the next couple of days? Because it wasn't like a huge amount of notice.
I
went, tanks, love me some tanks, know quite a bit about various different Space Marine tanks, so if you want something that niche, we can do that. And she said yes, and it went pretty well, and just from that point on it was a case of, okay, we want to do something vehicle focused or something like that. And now when they want to do those kind of episodes, they just sort of poke me and go, more vehicles? And I'm like, yeah. It was literally just that, because I think it was for that first one, Bricky not being well. So it was a case of needing to get a guest host in or miss an episode, and Shai was like, you can do this, you talk to camera all the time, let's go. Okay.
Yeah, that's amazing.
It's really fun actually doing Adeptus Ridiculous. They're a really nice crew, and it's still got like serious bits of 40k lore in there, but it's all approached in a very light-hearted way, and no one is like precious about it. It's one of the things where I love so much of 40k, and like the story behind it and the lore behind it, but some of it is silly, and it's fine, it's allowed to be silly. It doesn't have to all be 100% serious. I think if it was 100% serious whilst also being everyone's terrible, it wouldn't be as much fun to read about, because there would be absolutely no moments of like taking a step back and remembering that the Land Raider is named after a guy and not the fact that it's a tank that travels on land, for instance. Like, that is a bit of detail that didn't need to be added, but it's a funny bit of detail that now every time I see things about the Land Raider or the Land Speeder, it's like, why did they do that? And it's just little things like that I really think add to it as opposed to take away. Because of the nature of Adeptus Ridiculous, it's like there's a lot more there's maybe more poking fun than like part of the audience for 40k as a whole would like, but it's all done from a place of, well, poking fun because it's really fun and it's a good universe, and there's so much in it that you can find these little moments of that's ridiculous, why?
And I'm looking forward to the episode where they start talking about Steve Bolt.
I brought that up for the last one when we were talking about the fact that the Land Raider was named after Arkan Land. I made a joke about how like there's also, we're not going to talk about who the lasgun's named after. And there was a long pause, and both of them were like, "Are you joking? I can't tell if you're joking. Are you joking? Please tell me you're joking." And I let it sit for a few seconds and went, "Yeah, no, I'm totally joking." Yes. The sense of relief was like, it was palpable. It like came through the audio.
Love it.
Oh, it's amazing because I really enjoy Adeptus Ridiculous, and as like a newer hobbyist, I think it was like a really approachable way of learning the lore in like a fun way.
Yeah.
And then, like, I think they're all like American, I believe. And then they were just like, "Oh yeah, and we've got Kiriath to talk about tanks." And I was like, "Oh, he sounds English." And I was like, "How does that work?" Obviously, the internet. But there was, I think it was like when you were first talking about tanks, you said there was a model that had such a big range, you could shoot someone on a different table.
Oh, is that the Basilisk?
Yeah, the Basilisk. I had
range.
Yeah, I had one in my Iron Warriors army in 3rd edition, because you could take a Basilisk as one of your heavy support slots, and you could sacrifice 2 fast attack slots for an additional heavy support slot. So my Iron Warriors army was 2 Defilers, a Land Raider, and a Basilisk. Was like the back line, just because it was all like lots of siegey stuff, and a Land Raider to deliver a bunch of Terminators, and like a few Space Marines. Like, it was not a good list, but it was a fun list. And there was one particular like session we had, like a local Warhammer club that met up every 2 weeks, and it was great because there was just a mood. There was just a mood of no one was really taking it seriously that day, and I just fired the Earthshaker cannon at someone else's game. Landed a hit, killed a few things, super happy with it, and they let it slide. They were like, "Okay, right, well, that squad's gone," and just took it off the
table. One of the viewers came in for a haircut, and he very kindly brought in, which I'd been after since it being mentioned by having Tom on the show, brought me in the Servo Skull tape measure.
Yeah.
And the very first thing I had to do was keep going to see if it could cope with the Basilisk range.
Did it?
Yeah. It went to about 100, goes to about 115 inches. I love the fact I thought, let's just test it, and yeah, it does. Yeah.
Oh, that's brilliant.
And, every 13th inch is the Imperial Eagle, so you've got the 12 High Lords of Terror and the Emperor.
Yeah.
All the way along the tape.
What was the max range? Was it 250?
I think it was 128 if I remember right.
Okay.
But just,
I think there was a minimum because it was indirect and like normal.
Yeah,
normal.
I mean, it was still ridiculous. It did not need to be. It was clearly just a. I mean, we're going to put it in the rules because it's a long range artillery piece. Even though the board size you were playing on, you were never going to need to fire it even close.
We used to shoot the streets when we were at Games Workshop Derby. So there'll be like, there was a kid that would come in on a Saturday game and he'll bring his bat. He was like, "Oh, I want to shoot this max I can." I was like, "Well, there's the street out there. What do you want to hit?"
Yeah.
And then like the shop across the way. I was like, "Okay, we'll get the tape measure." Yeah, you hit super fi. I think it was. It was like a hi-fi sort of TV show.
Oh, no.
They never did any work, so they deserve to get hit. So front door got blown out by a Basilisk.
Like, sorry guys, you're gonna have to close.
Sweep up, do some work. Kid over the road just ruined your job.
Blame the rules writers. What?
But yeah, weird choice of. But because you can, I suppose.
Yeah,
just do it you can.
I love stuff like that. To be honest, like when things that are supposed to be accurate to in universe make it to the tabletop, it's just like another level of fun added.
Yeah.
Even things like the fact that you can field a death strike and put it on the table. It's like it's like an intercontinental ballistic missile. Or
Yeah.
Why have you got it on the front line? But on the other hand, on the other hand, it's a giant missile on the front line. So why wouldn't you want that? It's like
imagine you going GW Derby, going, "Hi, is that GW Kent? What have you got on the table at the moment?" "Yeah, we've just killed that."
Well, we did do that. When we used to do like little sort of campaigns between the region, we used to actually like go. We always broke our tables into coordinates, and you'd get a phone call because it was like an ongoing campaign between the region. You get a phone call and it'd be like Loughborough going, "It's D5," and be like, "D5's just been hit by an Earthshaker cannon. What's on it?"
Very long range battleships. That's brilliant.
We used to be awesome. We used to do stuff like that all the time, but. Yeah. Like, do you remember the Vortex Grenade when they used to do Apocalypse and it would just like literally just suck everything in? So that was always the trick. then I remember spending ages talking about the evil baddies that I did for my Imperial Guard. I had about 40 conscripts, and they're all painted like Cobra Troopers from G.I. Joe. And I had 40, and I put them in such a way that the largest green template would fit the entire lot over it. So I always used to like bang them together like a bayonet charge, and I have like an officer in the middle, and we're like, that gets hit by that template, they're all dead. It took ages to set them up and ages to take them off, but I didn't have to move them, so I used to get killed in one big go. My burning, well, I say burning question, it's not really burning, but what, other than got you into kit bash and stuff, what was it that drew you to the hobby when you were a wee little lad?
It was mostly just at the time I did like a lot of like just gaming and stuff, and some friends of mine already played and just said, you like sci-fi and stuff, you might be interested in this, do you want to come and try it out? And I had like one test game with some friends who already had armies and been playing for a while, and immediately went, oh, it's just like, it's really cool sci-fi, it's like, it's dark, there's a lot of like, they've all picked what they want to do, the game was fun, it went over my head a little bit, the first one. It didn't help that the first game was like, it started out with them doing just a normal 1v1, but then to up the stakes, the next game of that day was a free-for-all with 3 of them. So it was like, by that point, I was getting a bit lost, because I was this doesn't seem like it's supposed to work like this. Like, no, it's not. But it is fun. And it's like, okay, well, what do you need to do to get into this again? And then they introduced me to the local gaming store, and like, here is a big wall of stuff, and you just pick the thing you like, and then that's going to be your army. And I saw Chaos Space Marines and immediately went, oh, it's like the stuff that Phil's got, but cooler because it's covered in spikes. I'm going to do that. Also, that massive demon guy with armor with the giant sword is awesome, and I need that immediately. And that was just like the whole start of it was purely just because some friends went, we reckon you'd like it. Did one day of it and just decided that was it for quite a while.
It's interesting because like a lot of people have that a very similar sort of, it's the mates or like a family member that gets them into it, and I always think it's a danger because retail staff are trained to certainly during the year I was there, to get people excited about the hobby, but like your mates just don't have that understanding. And I wonder how many people have not been interested because they got put off by the mates showing them. So good for you for sticking with it.
Getting overwhelmed. One of the things that was good was that they did keep emphasizing, it's like, you don't have to do what we're doing. Like, one of them played Tyranids, one was Eldar, the other one was Space Wolves. And they were like, you don't need to do what we're doing. You can do something totally different. Just, there's loads of different armies, there's loads of different play styles. If you want to run in and hit people, you can. If you want to shoot them, you can. If you like the idea of, like, with the Iron Warriors, it was a case of, well, okay, which of these Chaos Space Marines can have, like, artillery and stuff, and, like, really heavy armor? And they told me that if you look in the Codex, you can find that you can take more stuff with this one sub-faction. I was like, okay, well, that's it then. That's the thing I'm going to aim for. And we played like religiously every few weeks for a good couple of years, but then everyone started like moving away or going to uni, or like just everything kind of drifted apart within 6 months or so. And the local club that we met up at stopped holding events because they weren't able to continue renting the place they were renting. So it's like the kind of local scene for it just died out over the space of like half a year or so. And when that happened, it was like, well, there's no one to do this with now. So it all just got put away and pretty much ignored for a while, just because there was no one else to interact with for it. And it wasn't until a few years later where I started to get back into it and sort of rediscovered some models and started looking stuff up on online and stuff. And around the time that I was starting to look back into it, my first daughter was born. And she spent 2 months in hospital when she was born. And so I needed, like, I was like, I need something to do. Like, spending pretty much every day just sat next to an incubator for 3 weeks to start with. It's not great for the mental health. But coming home and being like, okay, I have this idea for an army. I've got Space Marine kits that I could use. I had some stuff that was still unopened from when I'd played years and years ago. So I just started building stuff, and that became like, that was like the little zen area where come home, have something to eat, and then just retreat into this little bubble that was the desk in front of me and whatever was playing through speakers. and then that was my entire world for an hour or so in the evening, and it was like all around the same sort of time where I was getting a bit burnt out of doing gaming stuff, and it all kind of came together with the Primaris reveal happening.
Oh, cool.
Because I sort of saw that and went, oh, people are getting really angry about this. People are getting really angry.
I could leverage this for money.
I just thought, I don't think you need to be that annoyed about one aspect. The aspect that I saw people getting really angry about was the idea that Space Marines are meant to be perfect and the Emperor created them and he was, you know, the most powerful and intelligent being that humanity had ever seen, and so on and so forth. How did this random tech priest do what he did?
Yeah.
And I was like, but didn't the tech priest just improve them a bit? And not even that much. They've got like they've got an extra wound and they're like a foot taller. Like in tabletop terms at least. Yeah. They're an improvement, but they're not like Primarch level demigods. They're just slightly better. And it took him 10,000 years to do it. I mean, I just thought to myself, he's done some stuff that previously we didn't think was possible.
Yeah.
But it's not actually that world breaking. I just thought, like, surely you can, if you've got 10,000 years of non-stop work to make slightly taller Space Marines, that seems like it should be okay.
Well, you wait until he opens the other cargo hold that's full of female Space Marines.
Wow, that's when it's going to get interesting. But it was just like, I just looked at it like that, and the analogy I used was that at the time I'd just finished modifying a guitar I had, and it did not take long to replace the pickups and the parts on it, but it takes a lot longer to build the guitar in the first place. So if you flip that round, someone built the guitar in 2 weeks and then I spent a year replacing the pickups in it, that's the equivalent. That's clearly not how most things work. And even if you look at the previous law of like, oh, the Emperor has created these perfect warriors, they're also not perfect. I feel like a lot of people decided to ignore that to some extent at the time. It's like they are his perfect creations. The ones that fall to chaos every other founding. Yeah, great. Yeah. Awesome. Like, they're clearly not that perfect. So the idea that someone with a massive amount of resources who is prepared to push the boundaries and break the rules a little bit and is doing so for thousands upon thousands of years, I'm pretty sure it's not that like universe breaking for that to work. And I made a video about that and it did really well. And I then didn't move into making 40k content after that. I was still doing gaming stuff, but it was like, well, this is something that's interesting me and I'm kind of getting back into the hobby, and a lot of people are talking about this and I just don't think it's that big a deal necessarily, which funnily enough didn't go down all that well, but
I was going to say, that's a hot take.
At the time I felt like I was just sort of shouting into an angry mob at times.
Well, I think any point where you try and explain to 40k fans the words, should we just calm down a little bit? It's never going to go as well as you hoped.
I mean, admittedly, some of the things that people said on that video, it's like, well, I mean, he's just going to bring in loads of new technology if they can do that. And I thought, they probably won't do that. And now I was totally wrong on that one. I'll hold my hands up. That one I was mistaken on. Because I thought, I mean, they're introducing true scale Space Marines, but they want to give a lore reason so people don't feel like their armies are being invalidated. That's what it feels like. But the reason they've given isn't that terrible. But it's not like they're just suddenly going to go, there's a resurgence and the Imperium have got access to all sorts of new stuff. Oh, wait, no, that's exactly what they've done.
Yeah.
So it has definitely, like, in hindsight, that part of it, I didn't get right. But I don't know, at the time it just felt like a fun thing to talk about. And then I went back to making gaming stuff, and then more stuff started happening with 40k, and I was just getting more and more back into it and more interested in it. And I started kind of interspersing the two. And then one day I looked at like how the gaming stuff was performing compared to the 40k stuff and realised I didn't enjoy recording the gaming stuff anymore, and I enjoyed the 40k stuff way more, and it was doing like 10 or 20 times as well.
Yeah.
Why am I still
no brainer, isn't it?
Why am I still doing that? It's like, it's totally pointless. I should just focus on the thing that I'm, I've kind of fallen back in love with. And that's when the channel just moved straight into just doing nothing but 40k. And then I started getting more into AOS, and it's just sort of expanded out now.
I was going to say, did that have a massive effect? Because, with you guys being quite 40k prevalent to start off with, and then was doing a bit of Star Wars and a bit of Warhammer, it has, like, sometimes you get like good hits with some of them, sometimes you don't.
It's all kind of evened out now. It's mostly evened out. I think it's because, for me, a lot of it is just down to the miniatures.
Yeah.
And just it's just kind of everything is kind of treated the same, where I stopped covering things like rules and rule previews, mostly because I do enjoy playing it, but I enjoy the process of getting something to a table, more than the game itself.
Yeah.
And I've confessed many times that I'm just not good at 40k, and I enjoy the process of playing, and I enjoy like having that kind of social time and having something to do with that time. But I've never been that bothered about like, is this unit good? Does this unit work with something else?
Well, also, you do the unique thing is that often in an episode you'll talk about both. Well, it depends on what's being presented from the Warhammer. You'll often be talking about both anyway.
If they do something that like seems to really fit with that particular model and unit, I really like it when the rules properly reflect what that thing is supposed to be. So when it comes to something thematic like that, I'll tend to bring it up. But if it's something where I'm like, I love the model, but this is like something where it relies on a bunch of other stuff, I'm not necessarily going to touch on that, just because there are plenty of people who know that inside out and would be able to give way better conclusions to that than I would.
Yeah. But also on your show, you it depends on how it's laid out by what Games Workshop presenters. The great thing is you touch on AOS and 40k in the same episodes as well. So it's, so someone's getting something out of it at all times, aren't they?
There's just so much good stuff to look at. Like, we're really spoiled. Like, we're really spoiled for releases and different like miniatures, different styles, different ranges. Like, there's such a wide breadth of different aesthetics across both settings now that I sometimes sit there and I'm like, I remember the point where you would have a release and then you would have no idea what's coming.
Yeah.
For months. And it'd be like, the way that information was kind of spread around was, oh, well, my mate knows a guy whose dad is the brother of a cousin of a manager at Games Workshop, like 3 towns over. And he says, and like that was where all the information came from. Yeah. And now it's like every week you can kind of sit there and go, something is going to be shown off this week. And if it's anything like the last 6 months, it's probably going to be pretty cool.
Yeah.
And just having that kind of constant flow of new things to talk about and think about, and that just then feeds into like upcoming projects and things you want to do with the different things that you see. It's so much.
So from working there for years, like there was a time where no one gave a damn about NDA.
Yeah.
And they'll just show off and talk about stuff and go, oh yeah, I went to Warhammer the other day and I was like in the manager meeting and they showed off like the Warriors of Khand for like Lord of the Rings that look like samurai but with axes. They're mega and they're not out for like a year.
Yeah.
And people are like, oh cool, and then life carried on, no one bothered. Then suddenly there was this massive sort of like no one talked about anything until like the day of release.
Yeah.
And then it's gone back a bit more to like, let's just show some cool stuff every now and again. Let's do like the Nova things, let's do like this, like even like Atomic Mass are doing the same thing with like Adepticon and stuff. They show things that are coming up like for the Star Wars Shatterpoint releases. But it's better now, and I like it the way it is now. But there's that tool somewhere in Games Workshop who just has to like leak shit. And it's like, why are you ruining it for everyone? Just there's enough to be shown for everyone to be happy about it. Why do you have to go, I know, about a year from now there will be a Space Marine with a slightly different helmet. You'd be like, cool mate, you've just ruined it for everyone, and now someone has to do a leak and then shut it down, and then everyone this is why we can't have nice things, because you're an idiot. Stop doing it. If you're watching, absolute tool. And it makes a...
I tell you what, it's going to make an interesting show when we get Valrak on.
I was literally just thinking that.
But my point is...
You might have to have a week off that week, I think, PG.
Valrak is only just feeding that information that's been passed on. He would just use what's out and about, right? So I don't blame Valrak for that. I blame the idiot that's doing it.
That's telling Valrak.
Because it means... And we've been there. We had to like work bank holidays and weekends to do the videos. So it makes what you're actually doing by leaking this stuff is like stopping some hard-working staff from having a weekend and enjoying time with the family is what you're doing, because they have to then do like a leak video because the stuff that's been leaked. If I was the manager in marketing, I was like, I'll just let that potato can go around. It'll be gone within a week.
I always like it when Games Workshop do it themselves, though, like when they started sending Dante the wrong Dante out.
Well, that is just
such a brilliant cell-phone.
It's
that thing of not just shooting yourself in your foot, but buying new trainers first and then doing
Yeah, I do wonder how that happens. That is a bit of a, how did that get in there?
It's impressive when it's like just an own goal leak. Where it's just like, why have you sent me this that is clearly not out for months? And it's just like, he snuck out early. It's like, but how? How did it happen?
I absolutely love it that the guy that got sent that took the time to paint it first.
No, it was such. It was just.
That was so amazing.
Double down on the whole thing, wasn't it?
He'd be like, I've had it for a week, you know. Yeah. I've just been painting it up. Like, before you'd seen any of the heavy metal artwork or anything.
I mean, we've had some accidental leaks. There was it was so in the fate. We had a photographer for White Dwarf who'd come around and interviewed some people, and one of the staff members in the army painting team had got a Baneblade and put like loads of like claws, mechadendrites and stuff on it because he was doing a Mechanicus army. It was like this Mechanicus themed Baneblade. It was all kit bashed. Cool. Then I was painting a load of, like, there was a Monolith and the old plastic Necrons, but then there was like all the new stuff like Lichguard Immortals, Death Marks that were on my desk that weren't, like, they're a bit half painted as well. And this photo was done and it was put on White Dwarf and it was put on the web. And everyone just focused on the Baneblade, going, "Oh my god, they're doing Admech, this, that, and the other." Like, right on my desk is like all the new Necron stuff, and no one noticed it. It was like hiding in plain sight. I mean, that video, that photo had to get taken off. I think it was on the web, but it was just like, it was so funny that it was like literally hiding in plain sight. So much new Necron stuff that was like 18 months away from being released.
Really? Oh wow.
It's funny you bring up like the leak side of things because I used to cover leaks on the channel and I used to talk about them and people used to send me stuff and I had this kind of point where I realised part way through doing a video where I tried to verify whether it was legit or not, and anytime I passed stuff on I tried to verify that it was at least like that more than one person had come across it, and there are a few different people that had sent me stuff over like the last year or so, but there had been stuff that I'd put out there that had been wrong, and each time I'd be like, that was wrong, I apologise.
Yeah.
And then I've realised that even if some of it's right and some of it's wrong, the fact that some of it's wrong made me feel more guilty than the idea of passing on the stuff that was right. And so I started to like really scale back on it and kind of only cover stuff that I could really verify there was something to. And then I started to get like started to have like more contact with like Mikey from Hellstorm that you've had on.
Yeah.
And a few other people who, you know, they have an NDA with Games Workshop. They get sent stuff, they work on videos for it, and then it's leaked or something is said about it like before they've even got close to having their stuff done. And they're still under NDA for months.
Yeah, you have the embargo, don't you?
And I was like, so not only I feel bad when it's like an unintentional misleading of people, because that, you know, you can get someone really excited for something, and it turns out that thing isn't true. That I don't like the idea of that. That makes me super uncomfortable to like get someone hyped for a thing, and then that thing doesn't exist. Like that just as a feeling that just sucks, and I don't want people to have that. And then it was kind of compounded by like getting to know and become friends with other creators who worked super hard on stuff, and they were not allowed to talk about it in any capacity. But then before they'd even got close to having their stuff done, someone else has just released everything that they were going to talk about.
Yeah.
Which just meant that by the time they get to the news, by the time they get to the stuff that they've been working so hard to make, it's like, in terms of the YouTube algorithm, it's nothing. It's just a nothing video now.
Arbitrarian said that. Arbitrarian said he'd been working ages on a video about the you know, when they bringing them they brought them campaign books out that accumulated in the Lions.
Ark of Omen.
Ark of Omen and the Lion coming back, and he'd been putting a whole video together of the lore of, and then Valrak had got hold of the book early and then just it's not Valrak's fault, he doesn't know. He just got hold of it and told the whole story of what was going in there. I was like, I was working on a video for that. And that's the problem.
I don't blame the people reporting on it.
No, it's no one's fault. It just, unfortunately, as Bart said, it just creates more and more unfortunate flashes of information.
The thing is, you'll have like, you know, there's plenty of creators who leak stuff who are friends with creators who don't. But for me, I just always say the thing of, well, if I don't do this thing, is that going to make things better for someone else? yeah, well, I just won't do it then. Like, it's definitely like it 100% impacts the channel for sure. Like, stopping covering leaks and rumors has slowed the growth of the channel. Like, I can actually chart it when I stopped doing it to a slowdown.
Yeah.
But I don't have this thing now where I put a video out and then like a few days later think, if that's wrong, there's a lot of people who are going to be like just they're not going to be content. They're going to have a thing that they wanted that turns out not to be true, or they're going to plan for something that turns out to be false, or there's just going to be disappointment. And there's one thing I don't really want to spread out there just in general is disappointment. So it was kind of a cumulative thing of, well, don't want to mislead viewers. I don't like it when I'm talking to like Mikey and he's working really hard on something and then the thing he's working hard on is just gone.
You
know, it's the video has already come out. You've still got to stick by the NDA. You release on the day that the thing comes out, but everyone already knew about it 3 weeks ago. So no one's searching for it now. And it's only the people who are like, you know, hardcore followers that are going to watch it. So yeah, it just kind of started out like, leaked rumors, let's go. And then over time it's like, I don't like this.
Just do you think you could be like a responsible, say like if people obviously watch, because there's a thirst for it, isn't there, to know about something before, and you see it in movies and like Star Wars, and there was loads of leaks and all that sort of stuff. I wonder if like you could be, well, obviously, like, or someone could be like, do it. I wonder if there's like an ethical way to do it.
Well, there is, and it's speculation. What I like is speculating about a thing, and everyone else speculating about the thing. We're all having a conversation about what your interpretation. So, like Baylan Skoll, or what he was called, from Ahsoka. Who is he? What is he? Where did he come from? I'm thinking Cotton Eye Joe song. Then it was like into my head.
Does he use?
From where did he go?
Does he use a bosom for a pillow?
But it's stuff like that. It's like, you know, what's going to go off. I like reading those sort of like conversations where people are speculating, as opposed to going, it's been confirmed, it's this. That ruins it. That ruins sort of like, it's like Christmas time. Right? Christmas, you've asked for a thing, like for your parents when you're young, you're like, oh, I really want, like, you know, the biggest, coolest, greenest tank ever, please. And then you're like, you get a box, it's big, you're like, oh, is it the biggest, greenest, coolest tank? And it's like red and not green. It's like, it's even better. So you're hoping for a thing and whatever. But you don't know until the day when you open it. And I've never been disappointed by Christmas because I always love Christmas. It's great fun. And I always see like the products being there. Like you get like the rumor engine thing where you get a thing, you like start speculating it, like you were talking about the new Warhammer Plus characters, and it was easy to work out because I had not seen it until you mentioned it about the Kasrkin. It was obvious it was a Kasrkin. Everyone could have been like Dark Elf or Drukhari, but also arguably, and that's the bit I'm like, what could it be? Because there's three things it could possibly be. That's where I think it's the right place where you speculate. You have like conversations. You all have your ideas, and then it's revealed. You go, "Oh, you were right. It's the thing you said. That character from that book." And I was like, "Oh yeah, I didn't." Oh.
It's like I'm obsessed that when, as it gets more and more likely now from what's being said, that they're going to put Primaris Scouts in the next Kill Team box. That new transfer sheet has come out, and I'm like, are we going to have the first time for God knows how long that you'll have a Marine unit in a box, and they might not be Ultramarines on the other way.
It might be Raptors.
Because they might be Raptors because of the way this new sheet's looking. And I thought that'd be really cool if it was, because it's always Ultramarines by default. But I think if the new one is like Deathworld, like they're saying, Marines who are wearing green armor would look quite cool. And I thought, and now that's my main driving one. It's like, I wonder whether the Scouts will actually be painted as something.
Because in my mind, I'm going like the opposite. I'm going, well, it's always going to be Ultramarines.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it's a range, unless it's like Blood Angels.
Unless
if it's generic Marines, it's always Ultramarines because it keeps it as a collection. But then that's the old business mind. But then it's like, maybe they've changed it, and you're probably right. That makes sense. That could well be.
Interesting to see.
It's that kind of stuff I like, and then you find out at the end of it like what was the truth and stuff. But just to completely ruin someone's like hard-earned work for weeks and weeks.
That's the thing that I just struggle with. I have seen people like say that one of the reasons they like reading up on leaks and rumors is like forward planning, and that it never feels like there's enough time to actually work out where things are going. And well, I want to start this army, I want to expand this army, but what if Games Workshop changes it? And I see that come up quite a lot. But for me, I just always think, you are never going to be on top of it.
Never.
Games Workshop doesn't work like that, and they haven't worked like that for ages. There may have been a point like way back when releases weren't like 3 or 4 a week or whatever, but there may have been a point way gone where you could have kept on top of it and have a sort of stable, like top of the meta army or whatever, but that's not really possible now. And like forward planning is nice and it's good, but you should forward plan for like the type of army you want, not necessarily is this new unit going to be available at this time. You know, I've read the rumors, is this tank going to be out at this time? Trying to keep on top of like the endless, when I say churn, it sounds negative, but
I know what you mean.
It's just a constant cycle over and over and over and over again of just new stuff, and trying to like fully forward plan a big project. I just don't think it's possible now. I think it's one of those things where you've got to accept that by the time you get to doing this thing, something might not be available. Because it's a constant cycle of things being removed. I mean, even kits that have been safe for, you know, God knows how long, that massive retirement batch of Space Marines, just a good chunk of the range going, those have been available forever. But at the same time, there are plenty of other kits that have been sold for I don't know how long, that at the time probably seemed like it was going to be there forever, that have not been available for years. And the example I always use for people is Codex Eye of Terror. Way back, I had a 13th Company Space Wolves army. And I took a break. That doesn't exist anymore.
No.
It's just not there. Like, there's no 13th Company Space Wolves Codex. There's no Codex Eye of Terror. That entire army, as a thing, was gone. Like, it disappeared relatively quickly. And that's the example I always use, where it's like, you can really want this thing to stick around forever, but it's not going to. And you can make all sorts of arguments about, like, you know, things being good for consumers and keeping products around so that, you know, the fan base can continue to buy the things that they want. But at the same time, that's not actually consistent with the reality that we've been shown from Games Workshop since the very beginning. Like, if that attitude was ever going to be how Games Workshop worked, you'd still be able to buy the old, like, RB01 Marine. But you can't.
Or for Stroyans.
Or, like, you know, 90% of the Imperial Guard.
With Steel Legion were really, really popular, but they still never got round to finishing all of the releases. My mate going to my mate, he's got a big Steel Legion army, it's really nicely painted, and he was sitting there adjusting, putting this on, and I went, I said, what are you doing? He said, I'm making a mortar team, and he said, I'm having to use it from that, and I went, why? And he went, they never got to mortars, they just didn't get round to them before they killed them. And you think, so it's been going on a long time, hasn't it?
I mean, like, I imagine there's lots of hobbies and like tournament based things out there, like Magic the Gathering. It's the same
Magic the Gathering's awful for it.
But like, I think it was Steve, when he was on Steve Box, was saying that, you know, if you're going to go to a tournament, then you have to write a list in advance and you stick to that. You like pick 3 armies for the year, you build that, you stick to that. And then that's what you use for that year's season. And that makes a lot of sense, because then that takes out the stress of like having to plan ahead. You've like, what I'm committing to this is the gamble I'm having to play with now, and hopefully it works. And that becomes part, in my mind, part of the challenge of doing it, because if we're playing toys about warfare's not fair, right?
Absolutely.
So it doesn't matter, you know, you could turn up with all the French cavalry in the world, but as soon as those British go into squares, you're screwed, mate. You're screwed, and you lose the battle, and then the Prussians turn up. It's all over. Basically, what that is that someone finished a game, got their army, and moved it onto another table. Like, I'm helping this guy out now. It's like,
I just had visions of a Games Workshop. So we're just a load of Napoleonic Prussians stood outside waiting to come in.
Big moustaches.
Or it'd be like, you shoot someone with your basilisk on the other table, and then they bring their army over and go, I'm going to get you for that.
What were you saying?
But wouldn't that make a great event, though?
Yeah, it would.
That would be really
that would be hilarious.
Amazing. That would be great. Also, another thing to stay out of the curve: just make models that are unfieldable unless people are really people are really understanding. Like, or that guy.
Look at this guy.
Oh, I looked at him on Insta.
He is so cool.
I don't know. I don't know why I made it.
I love this sort of stripped paintwork on one side as well. I really like that.
It's just, I just had 2 thermal cannons from the night kit left over.
And
a Redemptor, and I went, I can't put it on this side because that would look silly. Where should I put it? On his head.
On his head.
Yeah, sure. Is it called a compensator?
That was very much it. I have a bunch of kits left over and I don't know what to do with them, but I want to do something now.
That's really cool.
So
I do like that.
Kind of like Derridale of some kind, maybe with the Volkite on either side, standing as one of those.
Yeah. And you've also I've seen it a few times now, but you've used the alien static grass on there. I never know what to do with that stuff.
Yes, that's the 40k basing scheme that I use a lot. So I've got it on.
Welcome to my fungal nightmare.
That was a stand-in for the Silent King, but I think it's going to have to be for Zeros instead.
That's so cool.
For a Necron army, I don't currently have built.
It's mad science. I love it.
Yeah, I built this and then went, that was fun. I should do a whole army, and I've got all the parts, and I don't want to talk about the rest of it. That happens depressingly frequently, where I'm like, oh, I've got the bits, I could make this, and then I look at something else, and then start that instead. And you can't tell from like the recording angle that I use, but the room I'm in, like the office that I've got, it's like a kind of L shape. So you've got like a fairly decent sized space at one end, and then a slimmer space off to the right of me, and that space is just shelves full of boxes of sprues. There are I started like clipping them out and putting them in bags so that they didn't take up basically half an entire room. But there's just so many of them because things like the Mortal Realms magazine, I signed up to that not necessarily because I wanted to start Nighthaunt or Stormcast, but because certain issues had great scenery pieces or parts that I knew I want to use on other things. So I would I did the whole run of that, but the bits that I didn't want, like the sprues I didn't want, I would just sell those to friends and just go, do you need a unit of this? Yes. Well, here you go. Have a cheap sprue for that. But the problem is that also applies to anything that I've bought for kit bashes where I've got the thing I want out of it, but then I know I could use the rest of it, but I don't know what for yet. So it just gets stuck in a box. And I got to a point where I was like, I have run out of space in the 6, like this size. I've run out of space. I need more boxes, and I don't know what to do because this is bad. It's just all of them are full of it. And then next to those shelves is boxes, like cardboard boxes, still with stuff in that I haven't got round to taking out of those and putting in the boxes of sprues. And it's just that I try when I'm recording not to look at it too much, because it feels like I'm being judged by an inanimate space. It's like I'll talk about doing something or talk about a kit that I'm going to pick up, and I can just feel this like malevolent presence on the right of these boxes of sprues going, yeah, but what about us? And it's like, I'll get to you later. Leave me alone, please.
I mean, I sympathise because I'm probably not to the levels that you potentially have, but I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing because you've always got something you can grab or use, right? Without it, you might be like, oh, I was going to do this really cool thing and I don't have that thing anymore that I used to have. So I've got like an Ottoman chest full of like boxes, which I won't break down into like baggies because they're actual full sets. So I want to keep the instruction, I want to keep them together. But then I have bags full of stuff which is just like the spare bits from sets and whatever. And yes, when I get a new kit, like, oh, I'm going to buy the new Stormcast Warcry war set, and I can hear the boxes in the cupboard going, we've been here for ages. He's dropped the front of the queue. You're like, shut up. I'm going to do these because I've got a cool idea with Knights helmets. Knights helmets, I need to go into the bag and find the Knights helmets. Where are the Knights helmets? So, you know, I think without it, then you're doing the Knight thing for Stormcast. Someone in, because I've done like a couple, someone had mentioned like, oh, it'd be really cool to see like the Sallet helmet, the Sister Battle. I was like, thank God I got 3 boxes of Sisters of Battle in that Ottoman. Because there's definitely at least 3 Sallet helms where I can have the helm going up. Without those boxes in there, I wouldn't have been able to do that cool conversion. So I think it's not necessarily a bad thing.
It's also good for like emergency kit bashing as well. I don't know. I hopefully like more people can relate to this, but there have been like days where everything's gone wrong. Everything has just been terrible. Especially like editing is my like worst nightmare for the most part, because I have grown to regard Premiere Pro with the sort of disgust that is normally, you know, like for hardened criminals. I hate that program, but there's no point stopping using it because I'm still paying for it right now, and I'm just like, okay. And there is a video that I've recorded twice because Premiere Pro has trashed the footage both times. Like, it's just crashed so badly that the original footage has been corrupted by it.
I've never had that.
It's only happened a couple of times to me, but it happened twice in the same, like, 2-day space. And I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I need to do something.
Yeah.
And I was just sat there and I just looked around and there was a box of Stormcast that I knew there was a cool model in there. It was for the big ballista thing.
Yeah.
There's a model in there for that is just an infantry guy, but he's got like a cool tabard, and it's like, I want to make something, but I don't know what. I'm going to take that guy out and see if I can do something with it. I need to distract myself because I'm going to throw this out of the window. I'm on the first floor, but I still, it would give me satisfaction to chuck it. So I just sat there, got a few kits together, and just for half an hour, just entered the bubble. Just that nice that nice little bubble where nothing outside of it matters, where there's nothing going on. It's just this is my space. It's my happy, nice, just relaxing part where I don't think about the fact that hours of work has gone. Yeah. I'm not thinking about the fact that means missing an upload. I'm not thinking about this, that, or the other. It's just, what can I do with this little plastic soldier in my hand? And having a load of just random bits around the place is super good for that, because I can just go when I've had like a bad day and just go, you know what, I'm going to make something.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but I've got all of this to choose from. And then, you're just straight into that nice little Zen space. So it's kind of, I feel guilty having that much random plastic just lying around, but it is really good for, I need to relax. There we go. Yeah. Sorted. Yeah. Didn't have to think about it. Brilliant. Yeah.
Should we do some questions?
Yes, we have some Patreon questions for you.
Okay.
And we ask our patrons, we tell them who we're having on and to ask away. And they're a funny old bunch, so some of the questions are serious and some of them
do we have
silly.
Kiss, marry, and shoot in the face?
We do, yes. Yeah. So we had Ollie on from Broadsword Wargaming, and I think it was in a reference because you said you had long hair.
I tied my hair back and said I looked like, with a man bun and a beard, looked like people John Wick just shoots in the face on the.
Yeah.
And then, he said, you do have a face that looks like it needs shooting.
Yeah.
Very nice.
So then we nice to a new game.
Yeah.
Who would you kiss? Who would you marry?
The therapy's going well.
Yeah. Oh, dearie me. There's a whole bunch of questions. I don't think we'll have time to get through them all. Because we're already nearly at the 2 hour mark.
Wow.
I'd have that effect on.
That's good.
I'm really bad for it. Sorry.
We all. That's what we do.
Our audience want it longer, so sod it. We'll go to 4 hours next time.
That'll teach them.
I need
you actually have another guest just outside. Now you can come in.
I need a seat.
I can stand.
No, it's fine. Not for 4 hours. But yeah, Greg says, "Hi, this is more of a comment than a question. ... Tiny lads."
I saw that.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is in reference to.
Legions Imperialis.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
There's been a lot of talk of tiny lads. I'm not keen on tiny lads, but I love tiny tanks.
Yes.
The tiny lads look like a lot of effort.
Yeah.
The tiny tanks is just an excuse to build the actual army company that I want, which is something that will fill an entire room. But that's prohibitively expensive. Whereas lots of tiny Leman Russes, you could have hundreds of them, and it wouldn't be anywhere near as bad as. Like, I've already got 2,000 points worth of tanks for the armor company, but like the actual list that I have written out, there's like another 4,000 points in it. But it's just like
very expensive.
It's taken so long to get to this stage, and does anyone need 3 Bane Blades? Yes, but they're also like 100 quid each, and that's a lot for something that right now isn't really usable anyway. Really usable anyway, so...
I want to go full micro machines and like get a Land Raider, open up and loads of little Land Raiders come out of it.
Transport your tank army in another tank.
That'd be great.
Oh, that would be amazing. And then that's been delayed, right? Imperial?
Only slightly,
Yeah.
All right, it went because it was supposed to be out.
Yeah, it's a couple of months. I think it's
right.
Push,
okay. I think. Lovely. Have you done anything with your Caradon Overlord box yet? I remember it sitting in the background. Someone calling you out there.
That's actually quite embarrassing because no. Well, yes. I sold it. And then someone gave me another one. So I was like,
back where you started.
Yeah, the one that was in the background for ages. I finally just thought, I'm not going to get round to this. I'm going to. Someone else can have it. And I sold it to someone for like less than the retail of it. I was like, you have that. You take that. And then I was like, I need some certain bits, and I don't think the kit's still in production. Does anyone have this? And someone said, yeah, I've got that. Oh, I've also got this box. Do you want it? And I was like, yeah, sure. And then it arrived and it was the same box. And I was like, okay, right. Well, it's not quite as embarrassing as the Sisters of Battle Army box that I still haven't put together. I was so excited for it, and I got it, and I was like, I've got to get it because it's going to go out of stock straight away, and I'm going to get it, all of the projects shelved, going to put it together, paint it in a week, and it's still like just under my desk. And I put one model together, and then I forget what happened, but that week became a write-off, and then I just never touched it again. And I hid it behind the guitars by accident at one stage, and I forgot it existed, and I was moving stuff around the office, and I picked it out and went, oh no. Oh, so many people wanted this, and it went out of stock so quickly, and it's just been, oh no. Sort of like, put it away. And I was like, I will before the end of the year, I promise. But
a recent term I've just heard today was, you get the Paragon war suits.
Yes,
Nundams.
Yeah, the
Oh yes, yeah.
Like literally, like this morning, I was like, that's such a good name.
I love that. It's great.
Nundam.
I know, I love it. Yeah, I've got a bunch of sisters.
All do Nundams.
That I'm really looking forward to. I'd like to make a mech only, like Sisters Army. I think that'd be really funny. There we go. What is your go-to takeaway?
Fish and chips.
Okay.
Strong.
Yeah, very good. Very good. And they've also asked a secondary question. Also, over the time you did your videos, what caused the strongest reaction, positive or negative?
Weirdly, I think the strongest reaction I've ever got was a video I did talking about like my best and worst releases of a year, and I can't remember which year it was, because one thing that I've found increasingly is that I just lose track of when things came out because it's just constant. It's like, oh, it feels like that model came out like 2 weeks ago, and then you look and it was like 2021, and it was the Impulsor and the Invicta Warsuit. I hate the Impulsor. I just don't like it. I saw it and I was like, that's just some, like, what is this orc nonsense going on in the Space Marines range? Why has it got an open back? It's like the most personality-less, like, I just don't like any part of it.
I'm familiar with that now.
I thought the Invicta was a really cool idea just for the wrong army. And I did say at the time, it's like, this warsuit is a great idea. I don't know why they've given it to Space Marines, but it's a really cool idea. And I really liked that. And the audience on the channel as a whole, completely opposite opinion. Loved the Impulsor, hated the Invicta, and so the video I was like, this one is terrible and this one's great. It's the most like disliked video I've ever made.
Oh, wow.
All the comments are just like, it is impressive how wrong you can be sometimes. Like, normally you're fairly reasonable, but this is the worst take you've ever had. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't help it.
I agree and disagree with you, because I like the Impulsor, because I like the open top back vibe, but I want it with wheels. And you're right, the Invicta feels like it's for the wrong army. I think the Impulsor's for the wrong army as well. I think both of those would fit really well in like a Kazakin-led battle force, where you'd have that extra bit of chunk on the vehicle. Maybe it is a grav tank, but I like the idea of those chunky wheels, so it's like an open top Land Raider.
I'd love them for like Militar and Tempestus. Tempestus signs like that. They would work so well for that force.
I love them, but wrong army. That's what it feels. So you're right and wrong.
that's about par for the course, to be honest.
I've never particularly liked the Impulsor. I've always, like, from the front, I'm like, and then I'm like, why on earth has it got? Why is it a pickup tank?
I can't remember the name of the company, but there's somebody who does a 3D printed enclosed for it.
You see, I think I get bonus for open topped half track things. I think that's what it is. I like open top vehicles.
Well, it does have a rule, doesn't it, that being open topped you can get out of it easier in 10th edition, if I remember rightly.
It's one of those things where I understand why it exists. I just wish it didn't look the way it did.
It's got its place. Marine like repulsors and stuff, isn't it? And
it kind of just looks unfinished to me. And it also doesn't help that, like, I think the Rhino and the Land Raider are like the two. Those are the Space Marine vehicles. And just the Repulsor kind of gets close to the Land Raider, but the Impulsor is just nowhere near as fun to look at as a Rhino. So
very good. And the Invictus Warsuit, that's like the baby carrier, isn't it?
It's like the things from Avatar. It reminds me of that.
Oh yeah.
I think it's like the Nemesis Dread Knight, but better.
Yeah.
Nemesis Dread Knight with a roll cage.
Yes. Pretty much. Yeah. Love it. Yeah, I've got Nemesis. It's the Grey Knights one, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
It takes me a while to like connect all the dots in my head. I'm like, this is this, and I just have to stand there and like someone's just going 4 + 4 equals. I'm like 8.
Don't
like the conversation's moved on.
Just because I count like that, Pat, doesn't mean you can mock it, right?
I count like that too. I still count on my fingers, man.
Same.
Okay, in the Citadel paint range, ancient or modern, what is your favourite colour? I guess not Hawk turquoise.
Leadbelcher. Leadbelcher is just the most. It's still one of my go-to metallic paints. Like pretty much any armor I paint, Leadbelcher is involved. I've kind of been using a lot of the Two Thin Coats range recently, and I do like it. But there's just something about the coverage and the color of Leadbelcher that when I'm dry brushing armor, like that's what I did for this. It's just perfect.
I've been using some of the Two Thin Coat stuff, and they are a bit matter. And it was like when we were having the chat with Byron, the matte versus satin for dry brushing.
Yes.
So that's probably why you have a better finish with your.
I've really liked your interview with Byron, because Byron's a really nice guy, and he is the one who got me into painting. I hated painting previously, and when they were doing the Series D, when they first rolled those out, he got in touch and was like, "Do you want to try these brushes?" And I was like, "I don't like painting. I'm bad at painting. I'm bad enough that I actively dislike it enough that I've never tried to improve, because there's no point improving because I don't like it." And I was like, "I'll give them a try." And he offered to do like a one-on-one like tutorial thing. And I thought to myself, that's a really kind offer, but he can't clone himself, so he can't do that with everyone.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to take the instructions as they're given, take the brushes as they're given, and I'm going to take this model that I've never painted because I've been too intimidated. And if I can do something nice with the wings, then that's fine. I did it, kind of half expecting to be terrible at it, and have like a video come out going, I can't do anything with these, maybe you can, but and it just worked exactly how he described it would. And from that point on, I was like, oh, I just needed someone to show me a way to paint that I enjoy. And from that point on, like the difference in, I used to just describe myself as not painting to tabletop standard because it wasn't good enough for that even. It was just, here's some colours, and that's the best you're going to get. Now I actually sit there and find the same level of kind of enjoyment from painting as I did kit bashing, and it is purely because someone went, here's how you can blend with dry brushes, and I tried it and went, oh, you can paint nicely. Oh, it is possible. Awesome, great.
At least your Stormcast aren't going to get left off the table like mine will.
Oh, that was a comment, wasn't it? Yeah. Oh, yeah. On a short.
Yeah, it was on a short. Yeah,
someone was like,
shorts you expect.
I'd laugh you off the table if this was. I played against this.
An army off the table. Cool. Good for you, mate. Good for you.
Yeah.
Why? Needlessly aggro.
It's probably a 14-year-old.
Well,
I imagine. Yeah. Or my dad. Trolling me.
Yeah. Oh, dearie me. Okay, now we're on to the serious. Oh, this one is prefaced by saying there is only one right answer.
Okay.
Max says cauliflower cheese with a roast dinner. Yay or nay?
Oh, yay. Yeah. I agree with that.
Yeah, 100%.
Absolutely. Yeah, have you had cauliflower cheese with?
I don't really eat roast dinners, to be honest.
Carveries always have cauliflower cheese. It's for a reason.
Oh, big fan.
Because cauliflower cheese I like, but yeah, I don't know enough about roast to know. Because I would probably say not on a roast dinner. I don't know.
I said yes as if I was like the guest then as well.
Oh yeah, I
strongly agree with
this. Yes is the right answer. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. There we go. See, I'm open to. I don't know. That's my answer.
We need to take you to a carvery, is what we need to do.
Yeah. Brett just says his name sounds like a Warhammer character. I'm in.
Well, we know they made a model of you, so.
Oh, so many messages about that model. It was so good. I was like, what is going on? Why are people messaging me so much today? And they've made a model with your name. I was like, have they? No, they haven't.
Of course, they're
quite close, isn't it?
Sort of Blood Bowl dude. Yeah, he's missing one eye.
So
maybe he's missing one eye, and that's why he's like one-eyed Kirioth.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. Here is.
Just want to see you laughing at us.
Here's a question from Adam that you do have to answer. Okay. So I don't, because it's specifically about us three.
Oh no.
That one.
Yeah, I love that. You already know. Which of the Painting Face hosts would be the most successful on OnlyFans, posting only pictures of their feet?
Ooh.
See, I told you, patrons are a fun bunch.
Who do you reckon have got the best feet in this mad trio?
This is one of those situations where being unable to like conjure mental images, actual blessing.
Yes.
I've got there's no. It's just, nothing going on. There's just nothing.
I think it's you, Peachy.
Oh, you've not seen my feet?
See, because my mentality for it is mine of marshland and hell that my feet have been through with being in the military are Frankenstein's monster would take pity on my feet. Pat's been a climber for a number of years and has basically wore what is essentially ballet shoes to walk up the sides of things.
Yeah.
I feel like it might be.
I just sit and rub moisturising cream from the day I was born to now. So yeah.
Cool, yeah, it's Peachy.
All my toes look like my head.
My doctor once said, "Why do the bottom of your feet look like that?" And I said, "Oh, when I was in the military, I used to surgical spirit them to make them hard." And he was like, he was like looking at them, just thought they were the most horrendous things he'd ever seen. You think how many feet he must have seen in his
Do your feet look like I forget the character's name now from Fantastic Four, the Rock one?
Yeah, they basically are very similar to that. And the problem is when they do crack, it's literally like the Grand Canyon.
Yeah, so when you take your socks up, it's like, it's clobbering time.
Only from the ankles down.
Oh, crikey. I remember getting trench foot once in the Scouts.
Oh, it's grim. Trench foot's the grimmest thing ever.
That was painful. Anyway, probably enough chat about feet on our miniature painting gaming podcast. So thank you very much to Adam Langford for that question. Adam Langford. Okay. In a fight to the death, who would win, Kirioth or Valrak?
Kirioth.
I met Galrak the other day for the first time.
Tall,
he's a big unit, isn't he?
I've not actually met him in person yet. So
yeah.
I don't know. I think
You just
I'm
be
very
friends.
lazy.
Depends what they're fighting with.
I'm very lazy. I'm not massively committed to anything.
Depends what they're fighting with.
Yeah, I didn't say, yeah.
Yeah. Are we talking car park with a pool cue, or are we talking like
I don't know.
car park with a pool cue or Greg's with a baguette?
Is that the name of the other podcast?
Yeah, that's the one that we don't talk about that much.
Yeah, Patreon exclusive. I don't know if this is a like an in-joke or just a bizarre question. Can a model have too much girth?
Oh, that's an in-joke.
That's an in-joke, yeah. That whole thing has got like wildly out of control. It's just from a throwaway comment I made in a video about a character being it just looked like massively wide. I think it was a Goliath character originally, and them having a load of girth, and then it sort of just became a thing that was said more often. And then when the Necromunda video game, like Underhive Wars,
that's one.
came out, I did a couple of videos playing that, and I had a Goliath gang, which was called Team Girth, that had Mahogany Staircase, Ringo Funkstrom.
These are the names of the warriors.
Yeah, Grease Mito, and I don't know whether we're probably late enough in that you won't need to bleep it. And Mental Fuck. Those were the four. Those were the four gangers, and it cracked me up so much because I put the video out there, and the publisher promoted the video and said, "Join the adventures of Team Girth with Mahogany Staircase and Grease Mito," and it was. I couldn't believe that whoever was doing social media for the company was like, yeah, we should definitely promote that. It's like the first minute is just deranged nonsense, and they were like, yes, let's tell all our followers to watch that thing.
I love that game as well, but I'm sad that it's no longer supported because they never got around to doing the Delax. So they did 5 of the 6 main gangs. Such a shame. Focus, isn't it? I think Focus. Yeah, they did Mordheim, which is also good.
Mm-hmm. So, as we've already touched on with your Dreadnought army, would you ever? Someone has said, as long-time viewers might know, many years ago you started a Dreadnought army.
Yeah.
Would you ever consider going back to it? And if yes, which Dreadnoughts would you want to work on next? And what bits have you always wanted your kit bashes to include that you never got the chance to?
I may have accidentally already started another one. Mm-hmm. I didn't really intend to. I still had a few kits left over from the first one I did, which is like where this thing came from. So cool. And I counted up how many Dreadnoughts I had in various states and realised I already had 7. And now you can field 9 of them. Yep. So if you careful,
is it is that like, rule of 3 and the 3 different?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think actually, no, it's 8 and 8 and a Tech Marine, I think is what I end up working out for points-wise. But yeah, I've already got a few I think a couple of Contemptors, a couple of Leviathans, and a few Redemptors. But 2 of the Redemptors, one of them even is already like kitted out with the axe from a Lord of Skulls. So I've already got like a Brutalis basically. I've already got. I could treat this thing as the new one, the Ballistas.
Yeah.
I've basically already got a second Dreadnought army. I only need 2 more Dreadnoughts, or 1 Dreadnought and a Tech Marine, and it's already a thing. I just need to paint them all in the same scheme like this, and it's pretty much good to go.
That's awesome.
Nice. Didn't even mean to do it. I just sort of was like, oh well, I've still got those kits. I fancy putting a Dreadnought together. And then the Plastic Leviathan kit came out, so I got one of those, and then I realised that I still had my Dark Angels resin one, which had been a gift from someone, so I was like, oh, so I've got that as well. I just laid them all out and went, just subconsciously, apparently I build Dreadnought armies. Great, awesome.
Yeah. I think it was on stream, maybe I mentioned it. There's somebody, I saw someone kit bash a Chaplain Dreadnought.
And
I'm like, oh, I need that in my life. I really want one of those to exist.
It's almost like doing a tactical squad and then a character. That's what you want to do, right? Tactical squad of Dreadnoughts.
Yeah, pretty much.
Have a squad leader with the old style.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. It's like,
little back banner for the sergeant.
Yes.
I've got to warn you, my kill team's a bit different.
Yeah. I was just thinking, I'd be like, I'm really into kill team.
And you're playing on the Into Dark set going, not sure I can move down this corridor, lads. Just shoot the walls, all right.
Oh, amazing. Yeah. This one's nice. With such a beautiful voice, did you ever consider voice acting?
No. I don't think anyone's ever said that before.
Yeah.
See, come here for the nice compliments.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. If you ever had to be entombed in a particular pattern of Dreadnought, which would it be?
Probably Leviathan. They're the coolest. They're the coolest ones. I can't remember if the Leviathan burns out the occupant. I think it does.
Doesn't it send them mad?
I think you go mad, and then eventually does it burn you out completely, or is it the
Redemptors
burn you out as
a
well?
lot faster, apparently.
Yeah, I'll say Leviathan.
Yeah,
biggest, chunkiest cool. of the horse house leftovers.
Any Dreadnought that comes with its own series of headlights.
Yeah, yeah.
I do like. I think I'll be a Contemptor. I do quite like the Contemptors.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but there we go. Or like, what was the one they discontinued recently that just had all the guns, like iron.
Oh, the Ironclad.
Yeah.
Oh yes, yeah.
The Ironclad's really fun. I'm sad that's.
I like it.
Yeah.
Those extra bits of like, I think they were frag launchers or whatever.
Yeah.
They were cool.
Yeah. It's like Neo. It's just like guns. Yeah. Lots of guns.
It's very Iron Handsy as well. It looks like it fit really nicely into an Iron Hands collection.
There's something about it that I don't know that the newer like Redemptors just don't quite have. I can't put my finger on what it is, but I don't know. It just looks cool. Yeah.
I think it's the big thing for the Redemptor for a lot of people seems to be the gut that it's got, which can be a little bit to get around.
That makes sense.
It's still something that I'm not massively. I do like the Redemptor, but it's still something that bothers me a bit. But I've found with a lot of the time I move up like that section of armor.
Oh yeah.
So if you shift it up so it's not sitting all the way down, it kind of makes the armor plate at the front look taller than it is, which just seems to make it look slightly less, as though it kind of bulks out.
Also, love the basing on these guys. They're like the almost crystal sort of quartz.
Yeah, I really like that base material.
Oh yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah, just lifting that armor plating that you put. It just, I don't know, extends it a little bit and just kind of makes it look a bit less chunky at the bottom.
Yeah. I'm not going to be able to unsee the gut now. It'd be like when like all the guys on the Mr. Universe stage relax and because you get like a bubble gut, don't you? Because they take too much steroids.
Bubble gut.
Yeah,
allegedly.
Yes, allegedly.
Before they've got loads of bodybuilders outside this house.
Yeah. Aside from war games, what is your favourite?
Sorry, why have we got them queuing out? Are they in thongs?
Yeah.
Do we need to oil them up?
They're outside to do him over for the steroid accusation.
I was like, can I get out?
But they are in thongs, but thankfully they're already oiled up.
Yes.
I was like, can I get out of this office real quick, please? Not because they're out there.
You're too late. There's one outside straddling your bike already.
Oh, I've got a story about that.
Oh, crikey. So, did you want to say it?
I don't know. It's not to do with my bike. It was to do with my bike helmet. I used to do life drawing, at uni, and I came back in one day on my motorcycle because it was like a little place near Derby Uni, and popped my motorcycle outside, went upstairs, had my helmet, got in, got set up, and the guy in charge, he was like, "Oh, can I borrow your helmet?" I was like, "Yeah, what for?" He's like, "Oh, we'll use it as a prop." And I was like, "Okay." And then this guy comes in naked, grabs my helmet and puts it right next to his hip. So his like members almost like twitching against the visor. I'm like, I don't
There's something wrong about a naked man grabbing your helmet and putting it near his hip. That just is such a terrible
Could you have led with that? Could you led like, and then he's like, "Oh yeah, would you mind Chris?" Because his name was Chris. "Would you mind Chris sitting on your back?" I was like, "I would actually."
Yeah, I would. Yeah.
Don't really want a naked man sitting on my bike. Thanks. It's like, what? No, that's
Quick rescue. Get another question pack. Quick rescue us.
Love that. At least he didn't put his junk in the helmet.
No. Yeah, but it was close enough to be like an elephant's sort of like trunk just sniffing away.
That's sizable. Interesting. Okay.
He's a big lad.
Aside from war games, what is your favourite board game?
Probably Dark Souls. Dark Souls board game is one of my absolute favourites.
Hard though.
It's
nice. It's like trying to play the video game.
Yeah, it really is.
I guess they encapsulated that.
One of the things I like about it, it's just kind of, you can have runs where just you roll badly a couple of times, then it's like, okay, guess I'm starting all over again, just like any and all bosses in any of those entries for that video game series.
That. And then do you get videos of people like completing it on like bongo drums and stuff like that? Because everyone's like, Dark Souls is really hard, and then you get videos of people doing it with like, I completed Dark Souls with
like a Guitar Hero controller,
anything that's USB compatible, they plug in and play Dark Souls. And one guy did it on bongo drums. Someone else did it on like a steering wheel, I think, or something.
Yeah, just
like
in case
that.
you thought you were doing badly enough, let's just utilising the wrong equipment for it.
Amazing. Someone said, "What is your favourite tea to drink?"
Yorkshire.
Oh, okay, that's what you had.
Yeah,
strong answer.
And then there was a comment up to that said, "And why is it Yorkshire?"
That wasn't me.
Although Witchlight sent me a little care package, which was very nice of him, and he gave me some of them Devon teas.
They're really good.
They're really good. Yeah.
Excellent. How long does it take to dye your hair?
About at this length, like 40 minutes or so. About 15 minutes to put it on, and then 25 minutes to wait until you rinse all the... It looks like you've murdered a fairy in the bath. It's so... like, when you first, wash it off, there's just so much of it. And I also have to... I have to enlist my wife to do it now. I could do it myself before, but then I shaved a proper mohawk in, and I can't... I used to just shave, the sides and the back, which I can do myself. And then I was like, I don't dare try and do that using a phone or two mirrors, because I'm just going to get to a point, forget which way round things are, and then there's just going to be a big furrow in the side. So now it's just a case of, okay, we've got an hour free this morning, quick, shave, dye, and then leave it way too late.
Do you have to peroxide it first?
Yes, every other dye.
Yeah,
I never thought I would actually put this much effort into it, to be honest, because for ages I just shaved my head.
Yeah.
And I got bored. I had long hair for a while. I got bored of having long hair, and then I just shaved all of it off and did that for years. And then I just randomly decided to grow it out again. And then I saw a picture of my sides and the back already went white when I was 30. So I don't reckon I've got long until
almost like that extra
just taking the mick.
Yeah. Look what you could have won. That was good. I like it. Very Necromunda as well.
Yeah, it was pink for a few years, but my daughter from school, and I had my hood up because it was like midwinter kid, and she just stared at me like really angrily. She's like back into the classroom and called for the teaching assistant. I just didn't recognise you. At that point, I was like, I used to take the piss out of the whole Clark Kent Superman thing.
Yeah.
I have a pair of glasses and no one knows.
Yeah.
I tried to pick up my own child, and she really thought I was trying to kidnap her because she couldn't see the hair. I was like, I take it back. Totally works, apparently.
Yeah. It's just the hair that's
yeah.
That's mad.
From school now.
I don't.
And stuff like that.
If they know you,
it's
but
not like a parent or
if
something.
You're having someone else pick them up, like if grandparents pick them up, you need to give them a password for them to let them in.
I'd love it if they had like a printout and it was like, tick this box to show you're not a robot. And
to run a 2,000-point game, yes. In a general sense, no.
Right answer.
I've got 7 and a Baneblade, which is the 2,000-point Armour Company list. Which
it should be 10. Not for you, but like from a rule point of view, they should make it cheap enough so it should be 10.
Yeah,
because that's a proper squadron. Right? You ever done a Commissar tank?
Not yet. Ooh. I'm planning to at some point, but
lovely. We have our classic Patreon question that says
Stilton and Sweet Biscuits. I'm only allowed it at Christmas because my wife hates it, so it's like the highlight of the year. So I get to have I don't want that.
That's great.
Okay. You should get like a mini fridge for your for your room, and everyone like, oh lads, is it full of beer? No,
just put Stilton and chutney, and that's
it. Which is more expensive, your guitar collection or Dreadnought variant? Mm-hmm. We said which one would you like to be entombed in?
Oh, yes.
And then you said that was your favourite, didn't you? Yeah. So I'll just see if I can find one last question. How long did it take here? I think. Oh, someone says that is ridiculous, but we've covered that. Beautiful voice. There we go. Yeah, fantastic.
Listening right now.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Let's ask the feet question again.
Oh no!
Brilliant.
There we go.
Spot on. Wow. Thank you, everyone, for the question.
Yes. Also, quickly, I'm going to say thank you to Michael Magnus. I was about to say wallaby then. Kangaroo. It's just a bottle opener. That is so Australian. It's so good. We've got some Tim Tams. We've been trying to...
Penguin.
Crunchy penguin.
Yeah.
Not a real penguin that Pat just...
I was going to say, which, if you don't know what...
Yeah. Like I just have a thing about devouring flightless birds.
Yeah.
That's what happens to the dodos.
Pat ate them all. But he didn't have cauliflower and cheese with him.
No, we didn't.
We still don't know your name. I still know it's Bart.
I just went with Bart the whole episode.
That's the best way to do it.
Yeah. Don't confirm or deny.
Yeah, I think it's great. This is amazing. Thank you to our patrons as always. Do check out Kiraf's channel. It's great, especially for just sitting down painting, getting ideas of like new.
Amazing nightmare fuel. It's very kind of you.
It's awesome, and check out your you got Instagram and Twitter as well. I want to say Twitter.
It's still Twitter.
Yeah, it's still Twitter.
No matter what they do to it, it's still Twitter.
Yeah.
X. So you've got loads of pictures of all this stuff on there as well. I guess we'll put some up on the visual.
I've been getting shots on this camera and stuff like that. So
well, thank you.
Fallen off so far. So you stick enough magnets to something, and it's fine.
Yeah.
Cool.
I often find I end up pulling them off.
Buy that.
Oh, do I have to?
Go on.
Someone's asked me to pick up things before, and then they've broken in their hands.
Go on.
Yeah.
I trust you.
There you go.
There you go.
Never my sex tape, I'm afraid.
Okay, we're ending there.